A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Ace got back all the money they lost and are returning from Arizona to the bungalow they had to give up. Jane knows nothing of this, Mr. Ace having written Marge and Neil to buy back the home and furnishes as it was before as a surprise for Jane. This episode takes place in alternating scenes between the train on which the Aces are returning and then to the bungalow. But first to a compartment on the train where we find Mr. Ace alone. The door opens and in comes Jane. Listen.
Jane, where have you been?
Howdy, partner.
All right, you can stop that Western talk now. We're only an hour or so from home. Where have you been wandering around on this train for the past couple of hours?
Oh, up to our ways.
Up to our ways. Is up to the club car?
The conversation part. I've been playing bridge.
Bridge? Who did you find?
Well, there were three men sitting there, and one of them asked me if I played bridge.
Oh, and you said there were arguments on both sides.
Well, we didn't argue once. It was the nicest game.
Yeah, how did you make out? How much
just now we had the most exciting hand. I bid no clubs, and my partner kept bidding clubs. So when he said 7 clubs, I had to say 7 no clubs.
Yeah, how much did you...
Well, that stopped him, because he couldn't say 8 clubs, could he?
No, but how much...
Well, you never saw such an exciting hand. I wish you'd have been there. You'd have thought the other side was playing the hand instead of me, the way they kept taking in all the tricks. Well, finally, I took a trick in. Well, our opponent still can't figure it out.
How much? Can't figure what out?
How much it is when you get set 12 doubled.
Set 12?
I left them there still figuring it out. I told them I had to get off pretty soon, so I just paid them what I had in my bag and left. $3.50 I had.
$3.50? That's all the money you had?
That's all. All I've got left is this lucky penny, see?
Oh, you had a lucky penny with you, too.
Yes, you know this lucky penny.
Oh, how do you do, lucky penny? Well, it's lucky you had your lucky penny with you. I mean, I'd hate to think what would have happened if you didn't...
Oh, I did hope I'd win a little money, because we can sure use it. But that's the way it is. When you try to win because you need it, 9 times 10 you lose.
Yes, 9 times 10 you do.
Well, don't worry about it, dear. There's no use crying over spoiled milk.
I'm not crying.
I know, but you look so worried all the time.
Well, the situation is pretty gloomy, isn't it? I mean, with no job and no money, nothing. Don't you feel a little depressed?
Well, maybe a little, but I always say a wife should take the bitter with the better. When things are better...
Yes, I know, Jane. It's easy to say.
Well, I really feel that way. The person who can smile when things are worthwhile, that's the way to be.
What's the way to be?
Like I said, smile. Look at me. I'm smiling, see?
Yes, that's pretty nice to be able to do when things are gloomy and cloudy.
Well, the sun is always behind the cloud. You can do it. Go ahead. Smile.
But what's there to smile about? I mean...
Come on now, dear. Smile.
Oh, but Jane...
That's it. Now smile more.
Oh, Jane,
That's it. That's a nice big smile just like the sun. Oh, there's some tobacco on your tooth.
Tobacco?
Yeah, right there. That's it. Now you've got it. From your cigar, I guess.
Yes, that's the cloud behind which the sun shines, I guess.
Yes, sir. Oh, that's good.
Oh, you like that?
Oh, dear, you're so repulsive. Well, I guess we're nearly home.
Yes, if you can call it home.
Oh, now you see, there goes the cloud again. Why do you keep doing that? Suppose we are broke. Suppose we haven't got a big home and things. What difference does it make?
You really feel that way, don't you?
Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't like to have everything, but if we can't, we can't. Someday when we do get it, we'll appreciate it more. You know what I mean. Why worry? You're only young once in a while. I'm just as much excited about going home to our apartment as I would be if we were going home to a home. Of course, I still think we should have stayed a little longer on the ranch and tried to sell it.
Oh, no, Jane. I think it's wise that we came home at this time.
Oh, I see you've got everything packed.
Yes, I packed after I got off at that last stop to send the telegram.
What was that telegram?
I told you it was to Neil. I told him to drive his car down to the station and meet us.
But why did it take you so long to write it? What were you writing?
Nothing. That was all.
No, now it couldn't have taken you all that time for 10 words. What was it?
It might have been more than 10 words.
What was it now? What did you say?
Nothing.
Why did you let me see it?
I dropped over here on my way to the station, Marge. I just got this telegram from Ace.
Oh, what is it? What did he say?
In the first place, you can't go to the station with me.
Oh, I'd like to know why not. Try to stop me.
But you can't. Now listen to this.
I am going to the station. I don't
Now,
care what...
Wait a minute. Wait till you hear this. Dear Neil, arriving 5 o'clock. Meet us alone. have Marge at home and Laura getting dinner. Also Betty home. At station, we'll ask you to drive Jane to our bungalow on some pretext while I'm supposed to go to apartment. Store and give me time to get there ahead of her. Get to the bungalow. Want to make this a big surprise. We'll explain to Marge and Betty when I get there. Regards, Abe.
What is all that about?
It's a surprise for Jane.
Yes, I know, but here, let me see that.
I can explain it to you.
Having Marge at home and Laura getting dinner.
Is Laura getting dinner?
Yes, but I still don't see what...
Where's Betty?
Well, she hasn't come from work yet. She'll be in pretty soon.
Fine. Now, if I dope this out, he wants me to drive Jane out here.
Oh, but what for? She'll catch on, won't she?
No, he's got some excuse thought up. Jane isn't very hard to think up excuses to.
And you're driving her out here, huh?
That's right. Only taking my time, I guess. He'll grab a cab and get there ahead of her. Then, when she gets here, you'll all be here for the surprise.
Oh, I wanted to go down and meet her. I'm anxious to see her.
Now, what's a few minutes difference? Be reasonable. He wants it this way. He must know what he's doing.
Well, I don't see how he's been able to keep the good news from her all this time, packing up and leaving there before he sold the ranch and all that.
Well, if he still doesn't know, according to this telegram.
Stall her and give me time to get to bungalow ahead of her.
Yeah, he wants to be here when she gets here.
Well, I wish you'd stall her long enough to give him time to explain to us what this surprise is all about.
I will, don't worry. I suppose when he gets here, he'll give you and Betty your instructions. He's got something up his sleeve. I hope Betty gets home in time.
Oh, she'll be here any minute.
Well, I better be going. I'll just have time to make the station. Hope the train's on time.
Well, I still don't see how he's going to get Jane to drive out here with you.
I don't either, but he says he's got some pretext. I don't suppose it'll be too difficult to talk Jane into something.
Why do you keep pestering me, Jane? I tell you, all I told him was to meet us.
With Marge?
Well, if Marge can come, I guess she'll be there.
If she can come? If she can come?
Yes, if she can.
My best friend that I haven't seen in a month, and you say if she can come?
Well, I mean, after all, Jane...
Well, that's a fine how do you do. That's friendship for you.
What's friendship?
Away a whole month, and she can't come to the station to meet me. Well, there's a fine thing. That's a fine way to act. My best friend. She can't find time to come to meet me at the station.
I didn't say that she could...
Out of sight and out of mind. That's the old saying. I'm out of her sight and she's out of her mind. I mean, she's out... Oh, wait a minute. How is it now?
I don't know. You started it. Now get out of it the best you can.
Well, anyhow, it's a
Now, will you please wait a minute, Jane? I didn't say she wouldn't be there, and even if she isn't, she'll be waiting at home for you, won't she?
Yes, but she ought to be at the station. Yes, but she ought to be at the station if she's as anxious to see me as I am to see her.
Now, what's a few minutes difference? Be reasonable.
Well...
You'll see her when you get home. I only wired Neil to be there. After all, his car is small enough as it is with all this baggage
Oh, yes.
Yes,
that's right. Maybe she can't come on account of
Of
the baggage.
course, that's it. I might not be able to get into Neil's car myself, much less bringing anybody else along.
Yes, I guess
Oh,
you're right.
that's an idea. Maybe you better get into Neil's car, and I'll grab a cab with this baggage, because there's something I want you to do for me. I guess it'll be all right with Neil.
What is it, dear?
Well, I want Neil to drive you out to our bungalow where we used to live.
Out to our
Yes,
bungalow?
I want to get some keys I left there. There's a woman living there now. You know, when we moved out, somebody else moved in, and I had some keys I left in the basement. You know where that window ledge is in the basement? Remember?
Yes, I remember the window ledge.
Oh, now, Jane, what are you breaking down about?
Well, I can't help it, dear. When you mentioned the window ledge in the basement, it brought back old memories.
Oh, now, is that a way to act? I thought you were giving me a pep talk a little while ago about smiling and all that.
I know, dear, but I just can't help
Now,
it.
you gave me your word that you wouldn't feel like that.
Oh, you know my word's no good.
Oh, I see. Then all this talk about a wife taking the bitter with the better is just so much talk, huh?
No, it isn't. I mean it, dear. It's just that, well, you mentioned it so suddenly, that window ledge and the basement. Well, you know that basement. And all the time I used to stand in it. I used to iron down there. I still got this scar from burning myself. Look. It's just happy memories like that come up once in a while. All right, now, try to forget it. All right, now, dear, what were you saying?
Well, I mean, if it's going to upset you.
No, I'll be all right, dear. Go ahead. What about the window ledge?
Well, I left some keys on it. I've been wondering what became of them. I'm going to need them when I get back.
Keys to what?
Oh, different things. A cabinet, for one thing. A cabinet I keep my old papers in. You know, the one that I keep my old papers in. You know, the one I got stuck away in a closet at the apartment?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, Neil will drive you out there on the way home. It's not much out of the way, and you ask the woman to give them to you.
Well, why can't you come with us?
Well, it'll be too crowded with all the baggage and everything. I can get a cab, and I'll be at our apartment when you get back.
Well, just ask us for the keys.
That's all.
Well, all right.
Fine, and Neil can wait for you and bring you right back to the apartment. We'll be just in time for dinner.
Oh, I'm getting so excited. Are we nearly there?
Well, a few minutes yet, I think.
Dinner at home again. That'll be a relief after those meals we had on the ranch.
Oh, I didn't think they were so bad.
Oh, but that Russian cook, Serge, he never did cook anything like I told him.
In the first place, his name is not Serge. I told you over and over to stop calling him Serge.
S-E-R-G-E, it's Serge.
It's pronounced Sergei.
Well, anyhow, he never did like it very much.
Well, you kept calling him Serge for one thing.
Well, just the same, I'm very happy to be back. Just the same, I'm very happy to be back now for a change.
Well, I'll say the outdoor life certainly agreed with you, the wind and the sun.
Yes, I did get a good tan, didn't I?
And look at me. I just burned up, got red and spotted.
Oh, you're as black as the ace of hearts.
Yes.
Black as the ace of hearts.
Yes, it's the ace of hearts. That's just
You
about
look
that.
fine, dear. Well, we ought to be there almost. Are you sure you packed everything? Did you look behind this door? Oh, no, you didn't. Look.
What?
You forgot to pack this suit of yours, your blue Sergei suit.
Sergei.
Sergei suit.
Sergei.
Yes, now you pack it. Now I have to go and buy a book from that fellow selling books up there.
A book? Now? Well, this is no time for a book.
Well, I'm not going to read it. It'll just look like I've been reading on the train when I get out. Like I've been reading on the train when I get out.
Oh, I see, yes.
Like I've been reading on the train when I get off.
Oh, I see, yes.
The Aces are nearly home, and Neil is at the station to meet them when they pull in, so as to carry out Mr. Ace's surprise for Jane. Just how the surprise works out, we learn when next we meet Easy Aces.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call that a man has barricaded himself in his apartment. The report says he's going to kill himself. Your job, stop him. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you 1, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. 2, this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield. Chesterfield, regular or king size, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, November 18th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. I was on my way back to the office, and it was 10:32 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Joe?
Yeah?
That didn't take too long.
No, Saul just got the coffee made. Here you are.
Thanks. Boy, it sure is hot.
Mm-hmm. Anything come in?
No, it's been pretty quiet.
I got it. Homicide, Friday. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. When was that? Mm-hmm. No, ma'am. No, if you'll wait just... Yes, I understand, but... Yes, ma'am. If you'll wait just a moment, I'll transfer you to robbery. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'll explain it to you over there. Right. Would you hold on, please? Would you give this call to 2511, please? Yes, that's right.
Sure dismal weather.
Yeah. Feels like it's going to rain, doesn't it? Paper says it might hit tonight.
Yeah. Well, I hope it clears up before Sunday.
What do you got figured out this time?
Well, Joe, I don't understand why you say it that way.
You don't, huh?
No.
Well, what do you got figured?
Take a look at this. I got just the ticket right here.
The ticket, huh?
Yes, sir, look at that. The answer to every homeowner's prayer. Take a look.
Yeah.
Gonna be a beauty, isn't it?
Well, if you say so.
Now, look here, Joe. Look what it says. Easy, simple, install in a few hours. Just the ticket.
Do you need one of these?
Have you seen our backyard lately?
No, not for a couple of weeks. Looked all right the last time I did see it.
Well, you ought to see it now. It's pretty bad.
It is, huh?
Awful. I just stand there and look at Perry's yard and want to throw rocks at mine.
Perry's the fireman, isn't he?
No, Joe. That's Neil you're thinking of. He lives on the other side. Perry's the insurance salesman.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's the one who tries all the sales talks out on you, is that
Yeah, tells me all about him. That's pretty good, too. Joe, would you believe it? Up to now, I've bought $246,000 worth of insurance.
What?
Yeah, me, just a policeman. Of course, that's all on paper, just on paper.
Yeah. What's wrong with your yard?
Too dry.
Too dry.
Yeah. Hot weather this summer, you know. Little plants that Faye put out drop like flies, Joe.
They died.
Like flies. But this is the answer, this right here. See? Home sprinkler system. Install it yourself.
What's that?
Look at it.
Well, what is it?
It's a home sprinkler system, Joe. Read what it says here. Resists corrosion, rust, and rot. It's the answer.
It is.
Right. I'm going to put one of these little gems in my backyard. Just turn on the faucet. Everything's all watered. Don't have to stand there with a hose. Just turn it on and it's watered.
You're going to put this in yourself, are you?
Well, I could, Joe. Like it says here in the paper, shouldn't be any trouble at all.
Who's going to do it?
Well, I thought I'd get all the stuff together and then just start on it Sunday. You know, about 10:30 in the morning. Old Perry and Neil work out in the yards that time.
They do, huh?
Yeah. They'll see this little gem and they're going to hop over the fence, see what it's all about.
And then what happens?
I got 'em, Joe. I got 'em.
You have?
Sure, Joe. They see me laying out the sprinkler system right off. They're going to want to help.
Well, if you want them to give you a hand, why don't you just ask them?
Well, you just can't do it that way, Joe. It wouldn't be right.
It wouldn't, huh?
No. You got to be subtle. Remember the kid that whitewashed the fence?
Who?
You know, Huck Finn or whatever his name was. Whitewashed the fence.
You still reading those books?
No, but I remember that he was pretty subtle.
Mm-hmm.
I got it figured out. They'll come over and, look around, start asking questions, and next thing they'll be working. After we get the system in, I'll throw a little barbecue and just sit around, turn on the new sprinkler, and it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Sure hope it clears up before Sunday.
Well, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, sure, Joe. If it rains Sunday, old Perry and Neil won't be out in their yards. They won't be able to see me with the hoses and the sprinkler heads.
Yeah, but if it rains, there won't be any need to put in the sprinkler system right away, will there? I got it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, Sid. Uh-huh. Did you talk to him? What'd he say? Right. All right, we'll be right over. Want to get your coat?
What is it?
Sid Hughes over at the Mirror.
Yeah.
Just got a call from a guy who's going to kill himself. "10:37 a.m. Frank and I notified the complaint board what had happened, and then we left the office. As we drove out of the City Hall garage, it started to rain. We turned up First Street and then over to Spring. Sid Hughes, the reporter who'd called me, was waiting in front of the Mirror building.
Sid, over here.
Oh.
You got the address, Sid?
Yeah, here. 2682 North Ardmore, out by the Ambassador. Hi, Smith.
Hi, Sid.
All right, let's go. What do you got on it, Sid?
Well, a couple of minutes ago, the guy called. I answered the phone. Told me his name was Jan Patachek. Said he was going to kill himself.
Yeah?
I talked to him for a couple of seconds. It was easy to see he wasn't just another crank. He meant what he said.
How'd he happen to call you?
I don't know. He said something about the paper treating him right. Said he wanted to thank us.
You know what he's talking about?
No, I got Casey Shawhan working on it now. He's our city editor.
Yeah, I know.
He's checking the morgue file, see if he can come up with anything.
You ever heard of him, Frank?
No, name does nothing to me.
How come you figure he's on the level, Sid?
Well, the way he talked, I can't put my finger on it. Just something in the way he sounded. You knew he meant what he said.
What'd you tell him?
I tried to bluff it through, told him that there wasn't anything so important he ought to kill himself over.
Yeah?
I asked him to let me talk to him, asked him to wait until I could see him.
What'd he say to that?
Told me it wouldn't do any good. Nothing could make him change his mind. Said I'd be wasting my time.
Yeah?
Told him I had a lot of it. Wouldn't do any harm to let me see him.
He went along with that, did he?
Yeah, said he'd wait 15 minutes. Told me to come alone, not to figure on trying anything.
Well, Frank, you better kill the siren when we get near the place.
Right.
What time you got?
10:42.
Can we go any faster?
What's that?
I told you I believe the guy.
Yeah?
He said to get there before 11:05.
$2682 Ardmore was a two-story Spanish-type apartment house. There was a large courtyard in the center of the U-shaped building. Apartment number 8 was at the rear of the yard. When we got there were several other people standing by the entrance. 2 police units had arrived, and the officers were trying to keep the crowd away from the door to the apartment. 11:03 a.m. As we walked back toward Patachek's apartment, Sid Hughes and I tried to figure some way to talk the man out of carrying out his threat to take his own life.
I'm not sure how to handle this thing, Joe. I'd feel pretty bad if I went in and botched it up. Wish you could do it.
Well, has Patachek ever seen you before?
I don't think so. Why?
Well, we can try a switch if you want to. Tell him I'm Sid Hughes.
That'd be better, Joe. You got some idea what to do in there. I'm not sure I could swing it.
All right.
I told him I'd shove one of my cards from the newspaper under the door. That way he'd know it was me.
All right.
Now, after you're inside, I'll try and get in touch with Casey and see what he's been able to come up with on Patachek.
Good.
Oh, better leave your gun here. Told him I'd come unarmed.
All right.
You think it's a good idea to go in there without a gun, Joe?
Well, we haven't got much to say about it. The big thing right now is to try to get him out alive.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay, you want to hang on to this for me?
Right.
All right, let's give it a try.
Who is it?
It's Sid Hughes, Patachek. I told you I'd be out here. You want to let me in?
What about the card?
All right, here it is. Under the door. How about it? Patachek?
Well, he took the card.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope this thing works out.
You're going to try to get in touch with your office, aren't you, Sid, and see what you can get on him? Might help. Come on, Patachek, let me in.
The police are there. I'm not going to let them in.
They aren't going to bother you?
Tell them to go away. Tell them to get off the porch.
All right, Frank, you better get the other officers to clear the place out.
Right.
All right, the police are gone now. You want to let me in?
Will you bring my mail in for me?
What's that?
My mail, it's in the box right on the side of the porch. In the box.
All right, I'll get it. All right, now let me in, huh?
Come on. I'll stand right there.
You don't need that gun. I'm not going to cause you any trouble.
Turn around.
I told you I was coming unarmed.
Turn around.
We'll see.
All right, let's go upstairs.
All right.
Just a minute. Okay, let's go.
Why don't you put the gun down? You aren't going to need that.
I feel better with it.
Mind if I take off my raincoat?
No, go ahead. Make yourself comfortable.
Here's your mail.
Thanks.
But you going to open it up?
No reason to. It's nothing important.
You can't tell. There might be.
There isn't. I know that.
You want a cigarette?
No, but you go ahead. Here, have one of these. I want to be able to see your hands.
All right. So what's this all about?
There's no other way.
What do you mean?
All night I've been thinking about it since I got home. There's nothing for me anymore. I'm not going to prison. If they think they're going to take me, then they're wrong.
Well, who says you're going to
The
prison?
authorities. They said I have to go to jail for 90 days. I know how they plan it. They tell me 90 days, and then they'll keep me there for more. Well, I'm not going back to prison.
You ever been in jail before?
Yes, 5 years.
What for?
For nothing. 5 years because I didn't agree with what they were doing. I'm not going back. I'm not going. I'll kill myself
All
first.
right, take it easy. You want to start from the beginning and tell me what happened?
I said I forged a man's name to a check.
Did you?
Yes, but you've got to understand I didn't have any money. They're going to take my car away from me. I'm behind on my rent here. I owe money. All my creditors were hounding me. I thought if I could just get a little money to pay the bills, then I could pay it back when I got a job. I was going to pay it back, all of it. I really was.
How much was the check?
$250.
Whose name did you sign to it?
A man I know. I got a check and signed his name. He has the money. I was going to pay him back. I have a job coming up. As soon as I got paid, I was going to put the money back. I didn't mean any harm. I knew it was wrong, but it was the only thing I could think of. They were hounding me.
Well, what about that car? Couldn't you sell it?
I suppose so, but then if I did, I wouldn't be able to get to my job. I needed my car for that. I had to keep the machine.
Well, you'll have a trial. If you tell them what happened, they'll probably understand. The court will make an allowance.
I've had a trial. I told them I was guilty, that I did forge a check. They told me I had to go to jail.
You said you'd been in prison before.
Yes. 5 years, and I escaped.
Where was that?
In Czechoslovakia. They put me in prison because I wouldn't do what they told me. They killed my father and my mother, and then they put me in prison. I know what it's like. I'm not going back.
Well, the prisons here aren't concentration camps, you know.
That's what you say. I know different. I've lived in them. You see here? You see these 4 teeth in front?
Yes, I see them.
Well, they're false.
Is that right?
I lost the teeth when I was kicked by a guard. You know why I was kicked? You know why he did it?
No.
Because my clothes were torn. That's the reason he kicked me. I tore my clothes, so he knocked my 4 front teeth out.
That's all over now, isn't it? Things like that don't happen here.
Well, maybe not out in front of people, but they happen in the prisons. I'm not going to have it happen to me again. There were 800 of us, all arrested at the same time. 800, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah.
800 men, people I knew. 800 human beings with homes and families. And I'm the only one alive now. All the rest were killed. All taken to Buchenwald and run through the showers. Now, don't tell me about prisons, Mr. Hughes. I know. I've lived in them.
Tell me something.
Yes.
You remember the name of the judge who sentenced you here on the forgery charge?
Yes.
Well, let me call him. Let me get him over here and talk this thing over. We can work something out. There's no reason for you to do a thing like you're planning here. It's not that important.
Maybe not to you.
It isn't to anybody. Well, we can work something out here. Let me call the judge.
No, sit down, Mr. Hughes. Look, I'm not a stupid man. I have degrees from 3 universities. I speak 4 languages. I spent 5 years jumping every time a guard looked at me. 5 years wishing they'd kill me. 5 years wishing I could live in hell because it'd be much better than the way things were. Now they think they're going to send me back. They're not. You understand that, don't you, Mr. Hughes? Don't you?
Yeah, I think I understand it. Look, you said yourself that you thought about it all night. Now, isn't it possible that you're making this thing more important than it really is?
No.
I came in here to help you. I want you to help yourself.
Get your hands off me, Mr. Hughes. Now get over there.
Look, I don't know how to tell you, Padachek. I don't know how to make you believe me, but none of us want to hurt you. We want you to be happy here. That's one of the reasons you came to this country, isn't it?
Yes, I read the books about freedom. That's why I came here. Now they're trying to take that freedom away from me. Before I even have it, they're trying to take it away from me. I forged a check. I admitted it. I told them I did it. But I told them I'd pay the money back. That didn't seem to make any difference. They still said I had to go to jail.
You said yourself that you were put in prison for not agreeing with the authorities. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, that's what I said.
Well, they don't do that in this country. You know that. Everybody's entitled to his own opinion, live his own life. We got laws that are written by the people to protect the people. You understand that, don't you? The people themselves write the law.
Yes, I understand that.
Well, you don't break a law just a little bit. Either you keep it or you don't. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Well, you broke the law, didn't you? Isn't that right?
I told you I did. I broke the law.
All right, now listen. After you've broken the law, you can't make it right by saying you'll pay the money back. But the fact that you do want to rectify your mistake will certainly be taken into consideration by anybody in authority. You understand that?
I don't know. I try to think. I've thought about it over and over. I can't come to any answer.
Where are you going?
Got to take something for this headache. Got a bad headache.
What's this here?
What?
This note here on the bureau.
That's what I wrote. Tell why I did it, so they'd know.
Nobody understands what has happened to me. I cannot accept a jail term. All I want is to find peace and freedom. I guess this is the only way to do that. I'm sorry to cause anybody any trouble. Please take care of my dogs. Padachek?
Yes?
You know this is all wrong, don't you?
I don't know. I wish I did, but I don't know.
Well, we're not going to need this. There's going to be no reason for it.
What are you doing? Get away from me. Leave my things alone. Like all the rest, you don't understand either. You better get out of here. Get out.
All right, if that's the way you want it.
Why'd you crumple up this note? Now, why?
I didn't think that you'd need it. I thought we had this thing straightened out.
Well, we haven't. I told you, get out.
All right, wait a minute. You said that you'd pled guilty. You admitted you forged that check. Isn't that right?
That's what I said.
Well, how come you're here? How come you happen to be home?
They gave me 24 hours to arrange care for my dogs. I put up a bond. They gave me 24 hours.
Where'd you get the money for the bond?
One of the companies by the jail. They put it up for me.
Well, how about the dogs? Did you take care of them?
No, not yet.
Where are they?
They're up in the kitchen.
Can I see them?
You like dogs?
Certainly I like dogs.
All right, come on. What are this little ones, Eric?
Yeah, they look like real good dogs.
They are, thoroughbred shepherds. Only friends I have.
That's not true. You got friends.
Who? Tell me who.
Well, me, for one, I'd like to be your friend if you'll just give me the chance. How about it? What do you say?
What's that on your belt?
What?
The leather case on your belt. What is it? You don't have to answer. I'll tell you. It's a bullet clip. You're not Sid Hughes, are you? Are you?
No, Jan.
No, you're a policeman. You're here to take me to prison, but you made a mistake, a big mistake.
Yeah?
I'm going to kill you.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfield's, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. The only cigarette ever to give you
one, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that.
2, the only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and one half, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
$11:18 a.m. I'd been in the apartment with Jan Patacek for 13 minutes. During that time, he'd held a chrome-plated Luger pointed at me. We'd gone into the kitchen to see the dogs, and Patacek had noticed the cartridge clip on my belt. When I'd given my gun and holster to Frank, I'd forgotten to take the clip off. Patacek had noticed it when I kneeled down to pet the dogs. He'd looked at it for a minute, and then he motioned me to go into the living room. He followed, keeping the gun pointed at me. When we got into the center of the room, he told me to sit down, and he walked over to the other side of the room and sat on a chair.
There's some cigarettes on the table next to you. Please give me one.
Yeah, sure. Here.
Just throw it over here.
All right, here you are.
Thanks. Take one yourself if you like. Who are you?
My name's Friday.
You're a policeman, aren't you?
That's right.
You know, killing isn't new to me. I've done it before.
All right?
Yeah. See this gun?
Yeah.
I killed the man who owned it. He was the one at the prison camp, the one who kicked me. After I escaped, I went back. Now I have the gun. Now I don't have to listen to other people who tell me what to do or when or how to do it. You'll listen to me because you know if you don't, I'll kill you. You know that, don't you?
Maybe.
I've seen a lot of killing. I know what it is. I won't hesitate to kill you.
What about the people you know here?
What about?
How are they going to feel after you've done away with yourself?
It won't matter to them.
You sound pretty sure about that.
I'm sure as I can be.
You mean that in the 2 years that you've been over here in this country, you haven't made any friends that are going to care about
Not at all.
What about the people in that picture?
What?
Right here. This photograph here. Christmas party, all the signatures. Won't they care?
No.
How about this one here? It says, to Jan, with deepest regards. Signed, Mary Jane. Is this her?
Yes, that's her.
Looks like a nice girl to me.
She is.
Well, she'll care, won't she?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because all of them, they felt sorry for me all the time. They tried to make it easier because they felt sorry for me. They thought I didn't know, but I did. All the time, I knew.
Well, some of the things that they wrote on the pictures doesn't make it look like that. Some of them are pretty nice.
They didn't mean them.
You really believe that?
I don't have any other choice.
How long's it been since you did believe in anything?
Long time.
How long?
I guess since my mother died.
When was that?
At the beginning of the war. Right after the conference. They came one night. They took her and my father. Took them both. I never saw them again. I heard what happened. Guess that's the time I stopped believing in anything.
How'd you happen to come over to this country?
After I escaped, I went to England for 5 years. I worked with the Czech forces there. Then, when the war was over, I got permission to come here.
I think you said before that you came over here because you wanted the freedom. Isn't that right?
Yes.
You found it, didn't you?
I guess so.
Anyone ever try to tell you where you could go?
No.
What church to go to?
No.
You can say what you think, can't you?
Yes.
Well, why do you want to do this thing?
I try to tell you, I know about prisons. I know what goes on behind the doors. I lived there. I lived and died in them. You ever been in one?
Yes.
As a prisoner?
No, not as a prisoner.
Well, that's just it. Maybe they got you fooled, too. I remember when the people from the relief organizations would come along. The guard would take us out in the court of the prison. They'd make us stand there and tell the people how good they were to us. If we didn't say it that way, then they'd take us back and beat us to death. I know what goes on behind the doors. I know because I saw it. I lived it. Now, don't tell me what happens. Now, you and your law come along and tell me that you're going to send me back.
What about them? Who's going to take care of the dogs? Isn't that the reason that you're here? Isn't that the reason you came home? Who's going to take care of them?
I don't know. Somebody will.
They're going to miss you.
They'll miss me feeding them, that's all.
You know better than me.
Mother, Eric, be quiet.
Well, they seem to mind, don't they?
They're well trained.
You ever shown them?
No.
We have a lot of good dog shows around here. You ought to show them. They probably do real good.
Do they have dog shows in prison?
I don't know how to tell you. I don't know how to make you believe me. If you just let me get that judge over here and let him talk to you, maybe he can make you believe that it's not going to be like it was in your country. You'll be well fed. You'll get decent clothes. Nobody's going to beat you. We don't do things like that here.
I'm not going to prison.
Just let me get that judge over here. Now, let me call him on the phone. He can be here in just a few minutes. He'll tell you. He can do something. There's no reason why we can't work this thing out. Now, let me try to help you, please.
I want to believe you, Mr. Friday. I really do, but it's hard to believe in anything.
I'll just ask you one thing. Trust me. I've never seen you before. I don't know you outside of this room, but I ask you to believe me. And I promise you, I give you my word that I won't let anything happen to you.
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me have that gun. Let me take it. Then we can work things out.
Really think we can do it?
I think we can.
John? John, let me in. I want to see you.
Get here now to take me. You won't let him do it, will you? Please don't let him take me.
Don't worry. All right, you down there. Get away from that door. All right, come on, Jan.
I'll go crazy if they put me in prison again. I know I will. I don't want to go back.
Jan, come on. Give me the gun, will you?
I won't go back. If I go this time, it'll be for good. Now, if they take me this time, they'll kill me for what I did. I know they will.
No, they won't, Jan. Now, please, give me that gun.
Let me in.
Get away from that door and stay away, will you?
They're going to break in. Quick, we got to hide. If they find us, they'll kill us both.
Come on, Jan, believe me. I won't let anybody hurt you. I promise. I give you my word. Now, give me that gun.
You mean that?
I do.
You won't let them take me?
No, now, come on. Give me the gun.
I want to believe you. I want to believe you.
Do it. Trust me, Jan. I won't let you down. Come on, give me the gun. Get away from that door. I'm doing the best I can. Who is he?
Now, just stand still, you.
All right.
We did all we could, Joe. This guy got by. Says Patachek owed him money.
We tried to stop him, Joe. Yeah.
You the man who was with him?
That's right.
Well, you had no business up there. That's what you get for trying to impede justice.
You want to tell me something? What were you doing pounding on that door?
Patachek owed me money. I heard he was going to jail. I wanted to get it before he left. I had a right to be here. If you'd kept your nose out of this, I'd have gotten it straightened out.
Sure you would have. Patachek's dead.
I know that. I heard the shot. I'm out $200 he owed me. Think I'll ever get it back? I hope you're happy. You just took $200 away from me, didn't you?
Come on, Frank. Sit.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 19th, an autopsy was performed in the coroner's office in and for the county of Los Angeles, state of California. In a moment, the results of that autopsy.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've been getting letters from people all over the country telling us that they've switched to Chesterfield. And just as I've been telling you, thousands of smokers are changing to Chesterfield because only Chesterfield gives proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's why I recommend you try them today. Regular or king size, you'll find Chesterfield best for you.
The coroner's autopsy disclosed that the death of Jan Patachek resulted from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It was officially recorded as a suicide. You have just just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Whit Connor, Vic Perrin, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for longer filtering. And Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
Visit with Cousin Willie next on NBC.
Sure. I'm Pat Novak. For hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. Oh, there are a lot of ways to put it, but it's easier if you let your slip show right from the beginning. Because down on the waterfront in San Francisco, you got to do a lot of things to make a living. Otherwise, it's like being a CPA in a charity ward. I rent boats and do anything else that'll keep a bum lawyer in beer and broadcloth. Works out all right. You make a few bucks if you don't forget there are only two questions you can ask anybody down here. When and how much. Even then, you got to watch out, unless you like your trouble without a chaser. I found that out Monday night. I closed shop and I walked down the street to Noonan's bar. Well, it really isn't a bar. It's just a couple of stools with a bottle opener and a jukebox full of Irish tenors, but it's good enough to give you a shove down the road. Must have been about 11. I was sitting at one end of the place by myself, sorting out mistakes and spending a $50 on the bar, so I don't know when she came in, but she came in. I remember that.
Does it always come up heads?
If you're lucky. Who are you?
If you're that lucky, you'd have dollar bills to do it with.
Look, I'm low on chatter. Why don't you go down the counter and talk to the racy set, huh?
I'd rather buy you a drink.
Noonan's a social climber. He's going to throw you out.
You buy me one, then.
And I'm broke to strangers. Now, that winds up the conversation. See you later.
We'll talk Thursday, then. I went to your office, but they said you were over here. I want to hire you, Mr. Novak.
If you got a name to go with a figure?
It won't fit in your file. I want you for 3 hours' work tomorrow afternoon. Can you do it?
If I said yes, it might be too tough.
There's a flower stand at the corner of Post and Kearney. I want you to go to that stand tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Pick up a geranium plant and deliver it to this address.
I'm too big for a Western Union boy.
Are you too big for $50?
No. Must be a pretty geranium at those prices.
Some people love nature, Mr. Novak. Do you care?
No, I know a guy who likes parrots.
You go to the stand and tell them you want the plant. Take it straight to the address I gave you. It's important. Don't let it out of your hands.
For $50, I'll act like we're married.
I better give you the money now.
Well, you're eager. Suppose I don't deliver.
I found you tonight. I can do it again.
Mm-hmm. Well, where do I get in touch with you?
You don't. Mr. Novak, this is the last time over the course. So take a good look now.
Yeah, I'm away past midnight already. Suppose something goes wrong tomorrow.
Then it's very simple, Mr. Novak. You won't have to send for flowers. Good night.
I watched her as she turned and walked out the door. She was wearing a flowered print dress, and as she walked, the roses kept getting mixed up with the daisies. She walked with a nice, friendly movement, like the trapdoor on a gallows. As she reached the door, she turned and smiled once, as if she knew the $50 was just for laughs. I scooped up the dough before anybody could see it, because at noons, everybody gets broke in one motion. I left a few minutes later, and I went home to bed. I dreamed real good on $50, so I felt good the next afternoon when I got to the corner of Post and Kearney. The flower stand was there, all right, and I leaned against the storefront to watch the guy for a while. Maybe I should have known then, because right away I got the idea he didn't know what he was doing. But you can say that for a lot of senators. So I let it ride. When the jewelry store clock across the street said 2 o'clock, I walked up to him.
Can I do something for you?
Yeah, give me a geranium plant.
What kind do you want?
Big one, small one, I don't care. It's 2 o'clock. I'll take that kind.
You want a geranium?
Look, it's going to get dark. You got that long to argue?
Here's the one you want, then.
If you say so. You want to wrap it?
No, it's all right. You carry it that way.
Well, I'm going to look real funny walking around with a handful of geranium.
Why do you want one, then?
I see. You don't feel like talking about it?
No, just take it and be happy.
Yeah. How much?
Nothing. Doesn't cost a thing.
Suit yourself. You won't make much dough that way.
I'll make even less talking to you. Just take the plant and be careful.
No? How do you know what I'm going to do with the geranium?
I don't, mister. Some people eat them. Just be careful and goodbye.
Well, the way things were going, Post Street began to look like the main drag in Casablanca. I watched the guy fumble around with a customer for a minute, and then I crossed the street and started up toward Union Square. The cop gave me a kind of a funny look when he saw the geranium. He smiled as if he thought I had a pair of dancing sandals in my coat pocket. About halfway up the block, I stopped to look in an art store. Right then, I noticed the guy with a cane for the first time. He was standing near me, looking in the other window. He was a little guy and kind of wrinkled and bumpy. His skin looked like a cucumber full of powder. I started up the street and pulled into the bookstore. He stopped, too, and I knew he was following me. When I got to Stockton, I turned left and walked toward Geary Street. Halfway down, there's a little street called Maiden Lane. Oh, it sounds gentle, but so does Vesuvius when you say it fast. I just started to cross when a black Nash pulled away from the curb. Some dead relative must have put in a good word for me.
Hey, over here! Hey, pull him over! Hey, over here! You all right, mister?
Yeah, I'll do, I guess.
You're lucky you're not dead.
Yeah, we're all that way. Give me a hand, will you?
Oh,
thanks.
That car came out of there and hit you on purpose. You're lucky you're not dead.
All right. I owe the house a free roll.
This lady here took down the license number. You want it?
Yeah, thanks.
You sure you're all right?
Yeah, I'm a slow bleeder. I dropped a plant somewhere around here.
This it? This red thing?
Yeah, that's it, thanks.
Didn't even hurt the plant. That's something. You know, when I saw that car come out of there and hit you, you know what I thought about you?
That fella's lucky he's not dead.
Yeah.
Well, I looked around, but the little guy with the cane had disappeared. As I crossed Union Square, I kept looking around, but he was gone. Well, I tried to forget about it, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. It kept coming back and showing up again like a bad reputation. Why had the guy started to follow me and then stopped so suddenly? And how about that guy in the car and that $50 geranium? Well, I got a cab over at the St. Francis stand, and I rode out to the address that the girl gave me. On the way, I looked at the flower. From what I could see, it was just a geranium planted in a little wooden box. Like all the rest of them, it bloomed unevenly with buds that looked too nervous to come out, like a debutante with thick ankles. When the cab pulled up at the address, it was a rooming house out on Clay Street. The note I had said third floor rear, so I went up there and knocked. There was no answer, so I went in expecting to find anything. Anything but what I did find. Hello?
Go away. Go away and leave me alone.
She closed her eyes and stopped talking. She was so sick it showed like a searchlight in a cave. Her complexion was pasty and the color of a November sky. She had no expression on her face, just thin lips drawn so tightly the rims were white. No, she wasn't ready to quit yet, but you could tell she'd been papering the house for years. And you wouldn't want to bet on her. She was going to last about as long as a warm snowflake. It was easy to tell. You got a bad cough. You need some sun.
I need more than that.
Yeah, I guess you do.
Who are you?
Relax. I'm not the welcome angel. I just brought you some flowers.
Is it a joke of somebody?
I don't know, lady. With me, it's a $50 hustle. They're your flowers, so you work out the right answer.
Go away. Go away, please.
You want the flowers?
You brought them for me, didn't you? Leave them and go away.
Well, it's just a geranium. I'm going to leave it on the table.
Why'd they send you?
My reason was $50.
Did you come to hurt me?
I don't know. Do you rate it?
Oh, I'm too tired. You couldn't really hurt me, could you? Thank you for coming. Thank you for your kindness.
Sure. If that's what it is, you're welcome. That's all she said, and that's all that happened in that little room up on Clay Street. It wasn't much, and it wasn't enough to worry you, but for some reason I felt like a man in quicksand complaining about his height. When I left there, I took a car down to Market Street, and I had dinner. Well, it didn't go right because I kept thinking about this afternoon and last night. Who did she mean by they, and where did all these people fit together? The guy with the cane, the gal that gave me the $50 in the little chair about a maiden lane. Well, I tried to forget about it, but it wasn't easy. It was like trying to change a typewriter ribbon with mittens on. After dinner, I went home. It was about 8 o'clock, and when I got in the apartment, it was dark. Before I had a chance to put on the light, I knew somebody was in the bedroom. I walked over to the door. In the dim light, it looked like a walrus in pants, but it turned out to be Inspector Hellman from Homicide.
Hello, Novak. I just dropped in for a chat.
You always chat with your hand in the bureau drawer?
It's restful. I've been looking over your stuff.
Is this a social call or are you out stealing?
Where you been, Novak?
What do you care, Hellman?
All right, I'll tell you where I've been. In a third-floor room out in Clay Street.
I left one this afternoon.
It's the same one. Your fingerprints are all over the joint.
I'll bet you checked everywhere.
What were you doing out there?
Delivering flowers.
Is that your best try, Novak?
It's the best I'm going to do for you. If you don't like it, check with a woman out there. I brought her flowers and left.
What woman?
The one on the couch, a black-haired girl with a half-dead look.
You're wrong twice.
Huh?
There's no girl out there, unless she's tattooed on the guy's chest.
Oh.
And that guy doesn't have a half-dead look. It's better than that.
All the way.
That's right. He's dead enough to pray for. Will that do?
Hellman's sleeve so full of fat, I didn't expect anything else up there. He flipped on the light, and I could see he was real pleased with himself. He was smiling like a guy who's just found his partner bidding no trump with 13 spades. He sat down on the bed and unbuttoned his coat. Part of his stomach oozed out and hung over his belt like a 1910 lampshade. He lit a cigarette, and then he began to run his tongue over a set of teeth that looked more like old mandolin picks than teeth. He blew smoke and looked about as appetizing as a piece of squid pie.
Must have been a short argument, Novak. The coroner says the guy checked out in a hurry.
What else does the coroner say?
It was good poison. You buy only the best, Novak.
Don't stub your toe, Hellman. I went up there to deliver a geranium plant.
So far, you got a good case. The guy was poisoned with a spring needle, hidden in that geranium box.
Who was he?
He didn't say, and there wasn't any identification. Do you want to help?
I don't know, Hellman. When I was there, we were doing Camille. Some ghost woman was dying on the couch by inches. It was her room. You better check.
We did. The room was rented 10 days ago by a man named George Langley. The landlady says there's never been a woman in the room.
That's what all landladies say. Wake up, Hellman. I stood there and watched her shake like a dust mop for 10 minutes. You can follow up on her and then check that flora stand at Kearney and Post.
What do I check for, bull weevils?
He's the guy that gave me that geranium plant.
We'll check. And I want you down at headquarters by midnight tonight, Novak. You can talk to yourself till then. After that, you talk to us.
I'll make it up from here on, Hellman. You don't like it the other way.
Suit yourself, Novak. You know when you do. In the meantime, we'll find out what we can.
I can't wait that long, Hellman. You couldn't find a tractor on the back porch. I'd hang if I waited for your boys.
That's what you're going to do. And at midnight, you can dangle as high as you want.
I don't mind as long as my feet are on the same level as your head. When Hellman left, I sat down to try to piece things together. I knew everything was there if I could just shove it into place. It was like trying to swap an egg beater for a mixmaster. I was pretty sure there was something about the geranium plant I should remember. One little thing that threw everything else out of focus. finally gave up. I was $50 ahead and one murder rap behind. Depends on how you like your fun. $50 is all right, but the pleasure's limited. Like giving somebody a hot foot in an ammunition dump. If I was going to drag the town, I needed help. So I looked up the only honest guy I know. An ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Oh, he's all right for a guy who thinks people with steady hands are lazy. I finally found him in a little tinsel joint on Mason Street. It was high class for the neighborhood. The smoke was only a week old, and they had a cigarette girl. A long, leggy biscuit that wandered around trying to sell a sour smile at sweet prices. Jocko was down at the end of the bar rolling some olives back and forth. The rhythm was fine.
Ah, Patsy, you're just in time to help me off the wagon. A stout glass for Mr. Novak.
Oh, I want to talk to you, Jocko.
Oh, Patsy, confidentially, I hate martinis. I just drink them for the vitamins. Everybody should have a few vegetables, and I have chosen olives.
Look, I'm in trouble, Jocko. Will you sober up and talk?
I could do that easily. I've done it 2 or 3 times, and it's no trick at all. But I refuse because it's a vulgar display of willpower.
Will you stop, Jocko?
You know, Patsy, there are only 2 things that could cause my downfall. Whiskey or women. I'm not particular. You find a nice old widow, and I'll quit this stuff.
All right.
Some plump old party with a memory as vivid as my own. Preferably somebody rich enough to convince me the lines in her face weren't put there by worry.
Oh, stop it, will you?
Patsy, I'll allow you to motivate my descent, but I will not permit you to bring it to a halt. I apologize for interrupting. Go on.
What do you know about flowers?
Oh, I think they're pretty on a woman's shoulder, but I suppose that's mixed devotion. Why?
Well, I'm going to need your help, Jocko. There's a dead guy out on Clay Street, and Hellman's campaigning for me.
How do the flowers fit in?
A geranium plant. The guy was poisoned with a needle in the box. I took the plant up there to a woman.
A clumsy approach. Why a geranium plant?
It's a mixed-up story. I got hired in Noonan's bar to pick it up this afternoon at Post and Kearney. I got gumshoed all the way up Post Street and hit by a car at Maiden Lane.
You looked bent when you walked in.
I took it out to this address, and I gave it to a dying woman. Now she's disappeared, and Hellman's after me for the dead guy on her floor. Oh, I need some help, Jocko. I got to find a way out of this.
Well, you passed up a golden opportunity when that car hit you.
That's one of the places you come in. Now, here's the license. I want you to hop down and check the registration, will you?
What else?
Find out who runs that flower stand at the corner of Post and Kearney. Now, if you get back in time, I can check tonight. Tag by my place. I'll either be there or I'll leave a message.
Where are you going?
To find a woman.
That seems like a peculiar way to handle a crisis.
Well, I got to find the gal that started me out on this.
Patsy, I wish you'd forget about women.
And I wish you'd forget about whiskey.
Yes, we both have our problems. Except I enjoy one safeguard that you don't. At least I can look at the label and tell how old it is. Good night, lover.
Well, I got out of there and I went by Noonan's place. I asked him if he knew the girl in there last night. He said after 45, a man forgets about a woman's face, so I checked that lead off and started on the other girl. I hit all the cab stands out near Clay Street, and I finally found a hack that picked her up. It was about 4 o'clock, he said. She had luggage and rode over to Janet Street on Telegraph Hill, but he couldn't remember the address at the best rates in town, so I checked off that one, too. From here on, it was going to be a rough ride. I didn't know where to dig. I might as well have been out looking for a stick with one end. Well, I could try one more thing. I went by to search the Clay Street joint. It was a dirty room, and the geranium hadn't helped. There was a sweet odor and a thick, dusty cloud all over the place. It was like going to sleep in a bag of an old vacuum cleaner. There wasn't anything there that could help, and on my way out, I heard footsteps. I snapped off the light and waited. The door opened slowly. I couldn't see her face, but I knew it was the girl from Noonan's. Turn on the light and you'll see your friends.
Well, Mr. Novak.
Sit down. Let's talk.
In here? Why don't we drop by gymnasium and get some fresh air?
We can start with your name.
It's easy. Say your piece, Mr. Novak. I've run out of $50 bills.
Yeah, that's the way it is with my patients. Who killed the guy?
I don't know, Patsy. I can narrow it down to one county for you, but after that you'll have to do your own sorting.
The police think I did it.
Maybe you did. You look big enough to carry the load. I don't care, Patsy. I'm not going to weep. I've got about 3 tiers left, and he isn't high enough on the list to rate one.
Who was he? Now, how'd you find out he was dead?
There's generally a dirty rim in the wash bowl. His name was Charles Dowd. Don't worry about him. There's a small-time guy set to fast music.
Well, I'm going to worry about him because homicide's worried about him.
Then worry in a calm way, Patsy. If you do it that way, I'll help.
Sit down. Now, look, lady, you better help out or I'll lose your teeth for you.
Patsy, you're tough. And everything, I guess.
Who runs that flower stand?
It wouldn't help. When he gave you that uranium, there was nothing wrong.
For $50, there had to be something wrong.
It wasn't full of poison. I know it was in there, and it wasn't poison. Somebody made a switch up here.
What happened to the girl?
I don't know. Relax. You're going to use up all that nice energy.
Look, sis, you can haul in those long legs and give me some answers.
I'm going to haul them in long enough to ask a few questions. My turn now, Patsy. Back over toward the door. You can talk on your way.
Yeah, you look good with a gun.
You made a deal with George. I want to hear about it, Novak.
I don't even know George. If he's got a part, you just dealt him in.
I'm too old for fairy tales, Patsy. George got to you and found out about that uranium box. It couldn't have happened any other way.
Sorry, lady.
Remember, you're nothing to me, Novak. You're $50 worth of muscle. You're $50 and I'll spend you fast.
Go easy. You're going to break open a scene. I don't know your boy, George, and I can forget you, too.
You can do it while you're talking. I came a long way, Patsy. Too far to toss it over for a male or a bum. You're just a passing pair of pants to me, and I'll throw you away faster than a wad of gum.
Now's your chance, baby. Come on.
Let go. You're hurting my shoulder.
Relax. You're not going to have one in a minute. Come on, drop it. Now, reach down for that gun, and I'll jam you in the basement faster than a ton of coal.
All right.
Now, let's hear you talk.
I would, Patsy, but you're not listening.
That's what happens when you don't watch the door. Somebody falls in love with the back of your head. I didn't even have a chance to see who hit me. I don't know what good it would have done unless you're the kind of a guy who keeps a scrapbook on those things. When I woke up, I had company. He was taking a nap, too, only his was going to last longer. It was the little guy with the cane. He tailed me right to the end. He was lying there with his mouth open and a bunch of pink gum showing as if he was trying to pick up a few bucks with a toothpaste ad. I was still groggy, and I couldn't see around the room, but I could hear a slow, steady squeaking sound. I turned my head, and Hellman was sitting in a rocking chair. He looked as happy as a choir boy on Christmas Eve.
You have a good sleep, Novak?
Oh, why don't they move the morgue down here?
Yeah, I guess you ran out of poison.
Why don't you go away, Hellman?
Home, maybe, huh?
I don't owe your wife anything, so I'll wish that.
Who's the guy?
I don't know.
You looked chummy when I got here.
I don't know, Hellman. He followed me all over Post Street this afternoon. Check him yourself.
I did. There's nothing on him.
I'll bet his gold fillings are gone now.
Your trial run was a guy named Charles Dowd.
I know.
He was arrested in 1942 on suspicion of espionage.
He's in business again. A whole bunch of them are, and the kicker has something to do with that geranium plant.
What bunch?
These dead guys and a lot of others on the same schedule. It's that geranium plant. It all started at Post and Kearney. You better check that florist stand.
Don't you ever get tired, Novak?
Huh?
We checked the florist stand at Post and Kearney. The answer is no.
Did you talk to the guy?
No, because there is no florist stand at Post and Kearney.
You're crazy, Hellman. I got a geranium plant there this afternoon.
There's no florist stand at Post and Kearney. If you got a geranium there, it was grown out of a crack in the sidewalk.
I left Hellman standing there over the dead man. The little guy was looking up at Hellman with a dull, bored look like an usher in a burlesque house. I was sure now there was something about that geranium I'd missed. If I could find the string and pull it, the whole thing would unravel. The questions were piling up, and there was only one answer. Who got to that box and made a switch? Well, it was close to 11 when I got back to my apartment. Jocko was in the kitchen working on an experiment.
Ah, Pepsi, I'm drinking to your memory. I'm making up for cheap booze with extra sentiment.
What'd you find out?
You were mixed up. There is no flower stand at Kearney and Post.
Now, look, I've been through all that once. It was Post and Kearney. I couldn't have made a mistake.
Oh, anybody can confuse a street. It can be done easily. I once confused two whole suburbs.
Yeah, all right.
I boycotted a bar in Alameda for months before I found out they gave me the Mickey in San Carlos.
Now, look, I know what I did, Jocko. Maybe the flower stand moved. Maybe it was never there before. But today it was at Post and Kearney. How about that license number?
The car is registered in the name of George Langley. Who's he?
He rented the murdered woman. He's mixed up in a switch on that geranium plant.
What kind of switch?
I don't know. But whatever it was, George did it. When it left that stand, there was something else in it besides a poison needle. Everybody knew it. The girl and the little guy with a cane, probably the guy that drove that car.
They switched plans?
No, they changed. Yeah, I guess he could have done that too, huh?
Was the man with the cane behind you when you got hit by the car?
Yeah, I think you're right, Jocko.
He wasn't trying to kill you. In the confusion, the man with the cane switched plants on you.
Oh, Jocko, you're an angel. I'm going to do something for you someday.
You already have. I charged this bottle of whiskey to you.
Yeah, Novak talking.
I got news for you.
Mine's good, too. That poison needle plant was engineered by the little guy with the cane.
We identified him. His fingerprints match an espionage agent called George Langley.
Well, he was due any minute.
There's Nothing else on him except he lived in a place up on Janet Street.
So it happened that way.
Huh?
That's where the other geranium is, Hellman. You better get up there before they ring down the curtain. That other plant's going to draw all the boys and girls.
What does that prove?
Nothing, except you haven't got any business bothering a flower unless you're a bee. Well, you never know how the cards are going to fall, but when it's a wild game like Red Dog, whichever way they fall, it's going to hurt. And the last card's the one that breaks your back. So when Hellman hung up, I grabbed a cab and rushed out to Janet Street. It's a little short street draped down the side of Telegraph Hill like a torn ribbon. When Hellman pulled up at the top of the hill, I met him, and we started down to George Langley's address. Hellman opened the front door, and as we started into the bedroom, we ran into a traffic jam.
I'm sorry.
Hello, Evie. This is Hellman from Homicide.
I don't have time now, Patsy.
That's all you got, baby. Grab her bag there, Hellman.
Patsy, you're crazy.
Open her bag, Hellman. That's what they're all after. There's the geranium over by the window.
Let's have the bag, lady.
You're all too grabby. I'll take it. Come on, Edie.
Who's this guy?
A pixie, Hellman. He's the guy that sold me the flower down at Post and Kearney.
I'm sorry you got mixed up, Novak, but I'm short on regrets tonight. Give me the bag, Edie.
Go easy. We're going to get in too deep.
You're in up to your nostrils now, baby. The bag. I want that piece of paper.
You don't need a gun, Gerard.
That's up to you, Evie. You double-crossed me, and I'm too old for a new set of tricks.
That's the way it had to be, Gerard. You can see that. When George cut in, there was nothing else to do. It was high man in, low man out.
You're out there, and I want the bag.
Stay away from me, Jerry.
Give me time. I'll get far away.
I'm going to hang on to it. Stay away, Jerry.
I hear you, but that's all, baby.
Give me your hand, Patsy.
You're going to need more than that, Angel.
Help me to the couch.
Sure, come on. There you are.
Thanks, Patsy. You didn't owe me that.
I can't take it back now.
How's Gerard?
He bleeds big.
If I wasn't so tired, I'd laugh and laugh.
No, I wouldn't do that, Angel. You're going to be there in time to hear the echo. What's in the bag?
A formula. One other thing, Pat.
Yeah?
One other thing.
What'd she say?
I don't know, Hellman. She took it with her.
Where does that leave us?
Short one girl. She's in the apartment or on her way up.
Don't look too hard, Mr. Novak.
How many more are there?
She's the big act. How do your friends look, sweetheart?
They look the way they should. Oh. They watched me get sick. They didn't do anything about it. They sat around waiting for the last ounce of blood to dry up.
You better go with Hellman.
Please take me when you have a chance. Take me to... No.
Yeah, you're more than ready.
Oh, I think they look wonderful. They let me work for years. They let me get this way. And then they sat around to listen to my heartbreak.
Well, I don't know why, but Hellman was confused. He finally got the story off the girl in a hospital bed. All five of them had worked together once, gathering government information, but when the big order came, double-cross set in like an epidemic. They were out after a formula. The dying girl had one half, and the other half was in that geranium plant. It came off the boat and went to that phony flower stand. Evie and Gerard were afraid to deliver it themselves, so they hired me to do it. The sick girl was in on another frame. She tipped off Langley, and he worked that hit and run with Dowd, only he forgot to tell Dowd about the poison needle. When Dowd was dead, the girl checked out for Langley's place. Between them, they had the formula, but they got in the beef, so she killed him. She came back to plant a phony lead for Evie, and that's how I got sacked. Evie tumbled and headed for Langley's place. When she left, the girl planted Langley next to me in that room and then went back to watch Evie and Gerard in that overtime match. I guess she was too sick to care one way or the other. Now, Hellman asked only one question. How come 5 such bad people ever got together in one shuffle? I don't know, except most people are full of a lot of good and a lot of bad. The day we met them, all the bad was showing.
The Armed Forces Radio Service has just brought you Pat Novak for Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is produced by William P. Russo. Jocko Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and conducted by Basil Adlam.
Be with us again next week when over most of these same stations we'll bring you Pat Novak for Hire. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. For the past 6 years, a forger has been working in your city. The victims describe the suspect as a woman. Her M.O. is simple, but it continues to work. Your job, stop her. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. No wonder. More and more smokers are learning this fact for themselves. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality. A published fact proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, September 18th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Welsh. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 10:42 a.m. when we got to the 9th floor of the Beckworth department store, the credit manager's office.
Yes?
We'd like to see Mr. Donaldson, please.
May I say who's calling?
Sergeant Friday, Los Angeles Police Department.
Oh, yes, he's expecting you. Just a moment.
Thank you.
Yes?
The gentlemen from the police department are here, Mr. Donaldson.
Send them in, please.
Yes, sir. You want to go right in? That's the door.
Thank you very much.
Come on in, gentlemen.
Thank you. Mr. Donaldson?
Yes?
I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
How you do, sir?
Sit down.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, do you want to tell us what this is all about?
Well, it's the little mother again. I've got the receipts here on the desk. Is Sergeant Ferguson still working on this case?
Yes, sir.
I talked to him the last time we were stuck.
Usual type of things charged?
Yes, children's shoes, dresses, sweaters, same as always.
I see. Now, I wonder if I could have those slips, Mr. Donaldson.
Sure. Here you are.
Thank you.
All made out the same day.
Mm-hmm. August 22nd.
Yes. Our experience is that she usually comes in on a Saturday. Seems that the store is more crowded then, and the girls don't take any more time to verify the accounts than they have to.
Can I see those, Joe?
Yeah, here you are.
Thanks.
Wonder if we could talk to the sales girl who waited on her.
Sure. I'll have her sent up.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
Miss Firestone, would you please have Mrs. Allen sent up?
Yes, sir.
I notice here the only items charged not for children is a woman's slip.
Yes, we've had a couple of them in the past, pieces of women's clothing. I talked to Sergeant Ferguson about it when he was here.
Mm-hmm. Did you get the bulletin we sent out this month?
Beg pardon?
The bulletin, giving the woman's description, samples of her handwriting. Did you get it?
Yes, sir, we did. You've got to understand, Sergeant. This is one of the biggest stores in the city. We do a lot of business. It'll be almost impossible to alert all of the sales girls to watch for the woman.
Yes, sir, we understand that. But was the description sent to the children's department?
It was. It didn't do any good, though. If the woman charged large amounts, it might be easier. But look at the sales slips yourself.
Mm-hmm.
$4 shoes, $3 dresses. Nothing to make a charge like that stand out. We make sure that there's an account in the name and then let it go.
Don't you use the charge and plate system?
Yes, we do. But if a customer wants to charge an item and hasn't got the plate, we usually just verify the account and let them sign the sales slip.
Well, how about identification?
Well, normally we do ask for it. But as I said, these sales are such small amounts, and the woman comes in when the store is crowded. The girls just call the credit department and let her sign the receipt.
I see.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Mrs. Allen's here.
Oh, all right. Just a moment.
Yes, sir.
The woman who waited on her is out in the office. Do you want to talk to her in here?
Well, we don't want to take up any more of your time, sir. We can see her out there.
All right. If there's anything else you need, I'll be here.
Yes, sir.
Oh, officer.
Yes, sir.
You know, I feel a little funny about this thing.
Why is that, sir?
Well, the things she's charged. What's that? The things she's taken, they're almost all kids' clothes. Doesn't seem to be interested in anything else. Total amounts of the articles she's taken don't add up to much. It's the principle of the thing more than the value. It just seems that the only thing she's interested in is the children. Yeah, it feels a little funny to call the police about a person like that.
Yes, sir, we understand.
We've got a lot of this going on, but the others, they take things for themselves, luxuries, expensive items. But she doesn't, just for the kids. She doesn't seem to be at all interested in herself.
Well, we are.
Yes, well, I suppose so. Well, I'll be here if you need anything more.
Thank you, Mr. Donaldson. Thanks very much. We'll be in touch with you.
You'll bring the sales slips back, won't you?
Yes, sir, as soon as we've had the chance to photograph them.
Well, I hope you can do something about it.
Yes, sir, so do we. Thank you very much.
Anything you need, you let me know.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Just a moment. Mrs. Allen?
Yes?
These are the police officers.
How you doing, ma'am? I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Hello.
How do you do, Miss Allen? You want to sit down over here, please?
Yes, all right. I feel just terrible about this.
Ma'am?
All this forgery thing.
Now, you waited on the woman, did you?
Yes, at least in the little girl's department.
Uh-huh. What if you could describe her for us?
Well, she was a little woman. I'd say a 10.
How's that again, ma'am?
A size 10.
Oh.
5'1", about 105 pounds. Cute as a button.
Mm-hmm. Did she have the children with her?
No, she didn't. I thought it was a little funny at the time, but as I say, we were so busy with the school rush that afternoon that none of us girls had a chance to really think about anything.
Yes, ma'am. What color hair did she have?
Kind of sandy color. Guess you'd call it a blonde. Wore it up in a bun. Back here,
Yes, ma'am.
The other girls noticed it. Long. Looked nice. Different than all the other short haircuts. Kind of old-fashioned and homey.
Yes, ma'am. How was she dressed?
Not very well. A little blue hat, dark coat, cloth coat. Collar came up like this, Slash pockets. Nice, but not expensive.
I say, ma'am, now would you know her if you saw her again?
Oh, my, yes, sure would.
Well, we'd like you to come over to our office and look at some pictures, if you would.
All right. I'll have to talk to the floor manager.
We'll take care of that, Mrs. Allen.
All right. You think that you might have a picture of her?
We don't know.
I kind of hope not.
Ma'am?
I hope you don't have a picture. I guess it's a little sinful to even think of it, but she had a reason for what she did. I'm sure of it.
Why do you say that, Mrs. Allen?
Officer, I've been selling for a long time. I met a lot of people in that time. Nice ones and nasty ones. And believe me, this is one of the sweetest people I've ever served.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that you call her the little mother. Is that right?
Well, we don't, ma'am. That's what the newspapers call her.
Well, it fits her to a T. Right to a T. The way she bustled around those dresses, looking, testing. She was just like a mother hen trying to find something for her brood. Little doll, cute as a button. She just got to have a reason for what she's doing.
Sergeant Friday?
Yes, Mr. Donaldson?
I'm glad I caught you. I think we've got it.
Sir?
The little mother is downstairs now.
For the last 6 years, the same woman had been operating in the downtown department stores. During that period, she'd forged a total of $1,300 worth of merchandise that we knew of. Because of her M.O., there was no way of telling how much more had gone undetected. The operation was a simple one. She'd enter a store, go to one of the departments. There she'd pick up articles of apparel, mostly for children, and then ask to charge them. She'd explain that she'd forgotten her charger plate, and after the account had been verified, she'd sign the charge slip. These slips would be put in the mail to the people who maintained the account, and it wouldn't be until they noticed a discrepancy that we'd be notified. Usually a month would pass between the time the clothing was taken and we were told of it. In the 6 years that the little mother, as the newspapers had dubbed her, had been operating, almost every team of detectives in the forgery detail had worked on the case. Statements from salesgirls who'd waited on her were taken. Photostats of the sales slips were made. Witnesses were interrogated. And then when the sum total of actual physical evidence was weighed and sifted, there was no lead to the identity of the forger. The police department had gotten out printed bulletins and copies of composite drawings of the suspect, and these had been distributed to all department stores in the area. But because of the suspect's appearance and the way she operated, none of the victims became suspicious in time to notify us. The Department Stores Protective League was working with us, but they met with the same dead ends that we'd found. Meanwhile, the evidence continued to pile up. The operation continued to work. When the manager of Beckworth's department store told us that the suspect was in the store, Frank and I were able to come up with the first concrete lead we'd had since we'd been working on the case. In the company of the manager and the saleswoman, Mrs. Myra Allen, Frank and I went down to the boys' department where the suspect was reported to be.
Down this way.
Yes, sir.
The girl said she was over by boys' suits. I hope they were able to hold her.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute.
Yes, sir.
I know I don't have to tell you, gentlemen, about the store's liability in a situation like this.
No, sir.
Now, I'm sure it's her, but it could be very embarrassing and expensive for the store if we made a mistake.
All right, sir, we understand.
Good. Over here.
All right.
Mr. Donaldson? Mr. Donaldson?
Yes, Miss Franklin. Where is she?
It's not my fault. You've got to believe that.
What's the matter, miss?
Don't tell me you stopped the wrong person. You caused trouble with an innocent party and she could sue the store.
I'm sorry, Mr. Donaldson.
Where's the woman, miss?
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, ma'am?
She wouldn't wait.
A quick search of the immediate vicinity in the store failed to turn up the suspect. The department store security staff was notified and a watch was put on all of the doors. The credit department was notified and they took action. We checked with the elevator operators. We found one that told us she'd seen a woman who answered the description get in her car. She explained that the woman seemed to be in a hurry and had left the elevator as soon as it had reached the main floor. A further check of the store netted us nothing. The suspect had escaped. In the downtown crowds, it would have been almost impossible to try to find her on the streets. However, an additional broadcast carrying a complete description of the clothing she was wearing was gotten out to all cars in the area. The first good chance we'd had for apprehending her was gone. We had to go back to the legwork and the waiting. 3 months passed. During that time, Frank and I cleaned up a series of counterfeit payroll check cashings. Another 30 days went by without activity for the little mother. There were 4 new sales slips added to the file, but when the leads resulting from these were checked out, we were no closer to her than we'd been 6 years before. Thursday, December 17th, 12:55 p.m. I checked into the office.
Joe, that you?
Yeah. What do you got?
Oh, just talked to Skipper.
Yeah?
Got a couple of more beefs about the little mother.
When did they come in?
This morning.
Where are they?
Don Myers got him. He's checking the handwriting.
Well, how about the names she used?
Wait a minute. I got them here in my book. There they are. Mrs. Norris Farrow, Mrs. James Slagle, I guess it is, and Mrs. Ross Neiman. I called the stores and got the information on these people.
Did you talk to them?
Yeah. Asked all the routine stuff. None of them can think of any friends who matched the description.
How about the things she charged? Anything there?
No. Usual items. Let's see. A pair of Levi's for kids. One child's cotton dress. There is one thing different.
What's that?
Well, I checked the sizes of the clothes. The last bunch of sales slips we had, the dresses were for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
This time she bought them for a 12-year-old. Kids are getting bigger, Joe.
No, that's a big help. All we got to do is look for a couple of kids that are growing.
Well, I was just trying to help, Joe.
No, I mean, it just doesn't seem to be anywhere to go. All the time we've put in, all the people we've talked to, all we got for it is a file drawer all to ourselves on the thing. Again. Forgery Friday. Who? Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. I remember. Where is she now? I see. Yeah, we can be right over. Yes, ma'am. Bye. Oh, we got it.
What do you mean?
That was Mrs. Allen. Remember the sales lady over at Beckworth's?
Oh, yeah, I think I do. What'd she have to say?
Told me she's having lunch in the restaurant at the corner of Jackson on Hill.
Yeah?
Our suspect's sitting next to her. 1:02 p.m. We checked out of the office and drove over to the restaurant. It was located at the rear of a large drugstore. When we came into the place, Mrs. Allen met us at the entrance. She took us back down the counter and pointed out a small woman sitting on the last stool.
That's her.
You sure, ma'am?
I'm positive. That's her.
All right, let's go.
Yes.
You want to wait here, Miss Allen?
Certainly.
Something you gentlemen want?
We're police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to you.
Police?
Yes, ma'am. You want to step over there to talk? Might be better.
Well, if you want to say anything to me, you can say it right here. I haven't done anything wrong.
What if we could see your identification?
Why?
Your identification, ma'am. Could we see it?
All right, just a minute. I've got my purse. It's getting terrible. I don't know what you officers are trying to find out, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you can't prove you've got a reason for making me do this, you're in trouble.
We're not making you do anything, ma'am. We don't want to cause you any embarrassment.
A funny way of showing it. I want to tell you that my husband knows people in this town. When he hears about this... Oh, here you are. Here's my driver's license.
Would you take it out of your wallet, please?
Here.
Mrs. Evelyn Nelson?
That's who I am.
Is this your present address?
No, it isn't. We moved a few months ago, but I haven't had a chance to have it changed. Is that all you want?
No, Ms. Nelson, it isn't. I wonder if we could talk to you in our office.
Why? I always thought you had to arrest people before you could order them around.
We're asking you to come over to City Hall with us, if you will, ma'am. There are a few things we'd like to check out.
What things?
Wonder if I could see what you've got in the bags here.
What are you looking for?
Do you mind if we took a look?
Well, there's just some clothes for my children. Nothing in there to interest you.
Well, then it wouldn't hurt if we looked, would it?
Go ahead. You won't find anything.
You want to take a couple of these, Frank?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, what about it? Did you find anything wrong? Maybe a gun?
No, ma'am, but I wonder if you could explain this.
What's that?
This charge slip here, signed by Mrs. Ross Neiman.
Well, certainly that was probably in the bag when I bought the things. I don't know anything about it.
All right, Miss Nelson. Afraid we're going to have to ask you to come with us.
On what charge?
Suspicion of forgery.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfield, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you
one, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that.
2, the only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and 1/2, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
We returned the suspect to the City Hall for questioning. While Frank checked her name through the files, I tried to get her to talk. For 20 minutes, her attitude was one of surprise, and she answered the questions I put to her with indignance. Finally, she lapsed into silence and wouldn't reply at all to further interrogation. Frank came back from R&I with the information that there was no arrest record for Mrs. Nelson. We put out calls to the sales girls who had waited on the little mother in the past and asked them to come down to the office to see if they could identify the suspect.
Yes, ma'am. Room 29. Yeah, come right in the First Street entrance, turn left into the police department. That's right, ma'am. There's an arch there. Go right through it. Straight down the hall to the right. Well, it's the only way you can go. It's on the left as you go down the hall. That's right, 29. If you'll ask for Sergeant Friday or Officer Smith. No, ma'am, Smith. That's all right, ma'am. We'll expect you. Goodbye. I'll call the next one.
Yeah. You know, you'd save yourself and us a lot of trouble if you'd tell us the truth, Mrs. Nelson. Mrs. Nelson?
Hello, may I speak with Miss Brundage, please? In children's wear? Yes, ma'am, I will.
Hang up the phone.
Beg your pardon?
You don't have to go through this anymore.
All right, ma'am.
You want to tell us about it?
Ms. Nelson?
I only did it for them, the kids. I didn't want to. How do you think I felt when I knew I was stealing? How do you think I felt?
You want to go ahead?
My husband, Paul's a good man. What he's done, he thinks is right. I can't quarrel with him. But he doesn't know, he doesn't understand. It isn't that he doesn't love the kids. He does. He really does. It's just that he doesn't understand. You can see that, can't you? He doesn't understand about them. Do either of you have a handkerchief? I came away this morning without one.
Yes, ma'am. Here you are.
Thanks.
You want to go ahead, please?
All his life he's worked. Put in long hours without a thought of what he was doing to himself. Every nickel he made was put away so he'd be able to feel secure, so he wouldn't have to worry about anything. It was all right when we first got married. I could understand it then. I went along with what he thought. But the last few years, it's gotten to be an obsession with him. The almighty dollar, that's all that seems important to him.
Now, what kind of work does your husband do, Mrs. Nelson?
He owns a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Small place, but it does good, makes a good living. Only we aren't living, we're existing.
Mm-hmm.
He gives me $10 a week to run the house and buy clothes for the kids. I've tried, Lord knows I've tried, budget meals, cheap cuts of meat, day-old bread. Any way you spend it, no matter how you figure, $10 just doesn't go very far.
Now, Mrs. Nelson, didn't you talk to your husband about it? Didn't you ask him for additional money for the expenses?
Yes, I'd ask him, and he'd tell me that I had to make do all the time, make do just a little longer until he had the money in the bank. Then we'd be all right. Only the more it went on, the worse it got. It didn't seem to make any difference how much money we had. How the total in the passbook went up. He wasn't satisfied. Had to be a little more, a little more. I guess I'm feeling sorry for myself, but you see, he could afford to buy the kids decent clothes. At least that. You agree with me, don't you?
Well, that's hard to say, ma'am.
Not for me. I'll never forget the day when my boy came home crying. He'd been fighting. One of the other boys at school had said something about the patches on his clothes. Just a little kid, that's all he was, ridiculed by his friends. That's when I made up my mind to do something about it.
Does your husband know anything about your activities?
No, nothing.
How'd you explain the new clothes for the youngster to him?
I didn't have to. Last year he's been working so hard at the store I hardly ever see him. The kids don't hardly know him. He even spends Sunday at the store dressing the windows.
You mean he spends all his time there?
Every minute he's not asleep. He let one clerk he had go so he could save the money. Always save the money. It doesn't make any difference who gets hurt. Get that dollar and put it away. That's what counts. Put the dollar away. You know something, officer?
What's that, Miss Nelson?
I haven't been able to sit down and talk to my husband for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He gets home at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. He's up and gone at 6:30. Kids are always asking when Daddy's coming home. How do you answer him? How do you make him understand? I can't. I've tried the only way I know how. And I did it so wrong.
All right, Miss Nelson. We'll try to work it out.
Can I use your phone? I've got to tell the children what to do about dinner.
I'll call for you if you like, ma'am. What's the number?
Hollywood 98844.
Where's your husband now, Miss Nelson?
At the store, I guess. You're going to call him?
I think we should, ma'am. Let him know what's happened.
I guess so. Somebody's got to take care
Hello,
of
I'm
kids.
calling for Mrs. Nelson. I wonder if I could speak to her son. This is Sergeant Friday, Los Angeles Police Department. Who? Yes, no, she's down here now. Room 29. All right, fine.
Was that my boy? I wanted to talk to him.
No, ma'am, that was your husband. He's on his way down here. 10:14 p.m., Paul Nelson walked into the office. Frank and I took him and his wife to the interrogation room. She'd asked us while we waited for him if we'd let her talk to him for a few minutes alone. We stayed out in the hall, and after a brief wait, Paul Nelson opened the door and asked us to come into the room. His wife had evidently told him the full story because he was visibly shaken. He walked over to his wife and sat down beside her.
Well, I guess I've really done it, haven't I?
What do you mean, sir?
I've really ruined everything. My home, my kids, everything. All the time it was happening, I never knew it, never had an idea.
Don't blame yourself too much, Paul.
But I should have known. I should have seen it myself. Even when you tried to tell me, I was too busy to see it, too wrapped up with the business.
It wasn't for me, Paul. It was for the children.
It doesn't make any difference who it was for. I'm the one who caused it. I'm the one. It's my fault. I'm sorry, Evelyn. How can I ever make it up to you?
Don't think about that now, Paul. It won't do any good. What's been done can't be changed.
How about it, officer?
Sir?
What happens now?
Well, your wife is going to be given a preliminary hearing. She'll have the chance to plead guilty. If she does, the court will decide what to do.
What's the punishment for what she's done?
Well, according to Section 473 of the Penal Code, it's imprisonment in the state penitentiary for 1 to 14 years or for not more than a year in the county jail.
Is there any way out of it?
What do you mean?
Any way of getting Evelyn out of it? If I went to the judge and told him why she did it, if I told him it was my fault, would that make a difference?
I don't know. That'd be up to the court.
But I could try.
Yes, sir.
If I paid the money back for all the things she's taken, I can afford it. I could go to the stores and pay them. Maybe they'd feel different then, huh? I could make it up to them. Everything would be all right.
Well, it's been going on for 6 years, you know.
But if I did pay the stores back, it'd make it up to them, wouldn't it?
Maybe, but how about your wife?
What?
How are you going to make it up to her? 4:30 p.m. The suspect was released on a writ. The next afternoon, Frank and I met with Mr. and Mrs. Nelson and their attorney. We talked over the case. It seemed that the husband's change of heart was permanent. He swore that he'd never give his wife cause for unhappiness again. 2 weeks later, in Department 89 of the Superior Court, Mrs. Nelson entered a plea of guilty to 14 counts of forgery. When the court reviewed the circumstances and was informed that Mr. Nelson intended to make full restitution, the probation board recommended that Mrs. Nelson be placed on probation for 3 years. After the hearing, Frank and I had a brief talk with the couple. They thanked us for our consideration and understanding. Apparently, the cause of trouble between the Nelsons had been erased. Another 2 weeks went by. January 22nd, Frank and I got back from lunch and we checked into the office.
Here they are, dear.
Mr. Friday, Mr. Smith?
Ms. Nelson, Mr. Nelson, how are you?
Just fine, Sergeant. How are you two?
Fine, thank you very much, ma'am. What can we do for you?
That's what we want to do for you.
Sir?
You got the boxes, honey?
Yeah, here they are.
It's not much, but we thought that you'd like them. Made them ourselves. To say thanks.
Look at that, Joe. Mm-hmm. That's not necessary, ma'am. You didn't have to do that.
No, we wanted to. Toll House cookies. Eve made a box for each of you. Real good. Lots of chocolate.
Well, that's very nice of you.
We just hope you'll enjoy them.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure we will.
Yes, ma'am.
How are things going with you?
Oh, just fine. Paul and I have gotten everything straightened out. I help him out at the store now. That way he's got more time to spend with the kids. Things just couldn't be much better.
Well, we're glad to hear that.
It's a funny thing to say, Mr. Friday, but it's true. The best thing that ever happened to us.
What's that, Ms. Nelson?
My getting arrested.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 8th, a meeting was held in the county probationer's office in and for the county of Los Angeles, state of California. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've been getting letters from people all over the country telling us that they've switched to Chesterfield. And just as I've been telling you, thousands of smokers are changing to Chesterfield because only Chesterfield gives proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's why I recommend you try them today. Regular or king size, you'll find Chesterfield best for you.
At the end of 3 years, Mrs. Evelyn Margaret Nelson had fulfilled the requirements of her probation, and the case was officially marked closed. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Joyce McCluskey. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
This is the NBC Radio Network.
My name's Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Lyon. Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, Investigator, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of The House by the Sea.
This is the way it started. I walked in the office about 11 o'clock that morning. It was a nice, warm day, and I didn't have much on my mind. That's the trouble with nice days. You take a couple of easy breaths, open somebody's door, and it's just like peeling a wrapper off an atomic bomb. The Lion was in his den, sitting behind his desk. You couldn't tell where he left off and the desk began. He was talking to a girl with a flock of black hair. She was the kind you see driving a Cadillac convertible down Sunset Boulevard on hot Sunday afternoons. No wonder the Lion's cigar was out. It was wet on both ends.
Well, come in, Regan, come in. I was just about to call you, but now that you're here, it makes things simpler. Miss Carmen, this is Mr. Regan.
How do you do, Mr. Regan? Mr. Lyon tells me you're just the man I want.
You said the same thing to a mortician last week.
He is the man I want, Mr. Lyon.
Well, that's fine, Miss Carmen. I knew you'd be pleased. I'm very proud of Jeffrey.
As long as I'm in the cast, how about a look at the script, huh?
Miss Carmen is associated with the famous psychic consultant, Prince Carew.
I help the prince look into people's minds.
Well, that ought to be real fun if all your customers are under 6.
You don't believe in thought transference, Mr. Regan.
Do you?
I said I help the prince.
Prince Carew sent Miss Carmen to retain an operator, Jeffrey. It's a very delicate matter, and I'm placing the entire case in your hands.
Why didn't he come himself?
Do you disapprove of me?
I just want to know what's what.
Prince Carew never appears in public. He prefers to spend his time in meditation and thought.
Yeah.
I handled all of his outside contacts.
So, Jeffrey, you just drive on out to Prince Carew's home in Ocean Town with Miss Carmen and speak to the prince.
What kind of a retainer did he send? How much did you get?
Now, see here, Regan, we don't discuss finances in front of clients.
Oh, stop it, will you? This is another blind spot. You don't know what it's all about. All you know is she waltzed in here with a check, and you'd sell your grandmother a glue factory for $2. How do I know I won't wind up being a patsy again?
Is there any way I can reassure you?
Buy me a battleship.
Jeffrey, have I ever involved you in anything that I wouldn't undertake myself? Have I ever knowingly imperiled your life?
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Come on, lady. What's it all about? You work for the guy.
Well, I really don't know. He was excited this morning, called me in, gave me this address, and told me to make arrangements.
He must have told you something.
He never tells me anything. As you say, I just work for him. Well?
All right, I'm hired.
Good. Now call me, Jeffrey. Call me if you run into any trouble.
Well, I asked her how about lunch. She said no. I asked her about dinner. She said something that meant no, so I gave up. You know, it's like that sometimes. The flag's up, the meter's ticking, and you're not getting anywhere. But from a couple of things she told me, I got the idea she was doing more than just helping the prince read minds.
Well, his place turned out to be a good hour from downtown Los Angeles, up 101. There was a couple of stories of glass and concrete leaning out over the ocean. It was high and dry and quiet up there. And you got a feeling you should be hearing things and feeling things when you looked down and saw that water banging around the bottom of the cliff. She unlocked the door, and a guy in a white turban and some pants that looked like oversized diapers and a pair of tennis shoes was standing there. He had a big curved knife hanging around his waist, and he put his hand on it when he saw me.
Right this way, Mr. Regan.
Who's he, the butcher?
Oh, that's Telly. He works for the prince. Manservant. He's from India.
Yeah, I bet the Indians were glad to get rid of him.
Telly's harmless, tongueless, and he doesn't care. I like you, Mr. Regan.
Come in, come in. Thelma, my dear, you've returned with spoils. Welcome, sir, welcome.
Mr. Regan, this is Prince Carew.
Regan, the lion's eye. I've heard of you, Mr. Regan. I'm honored. Sit down. That'll be all, Thelma. Charming girl, hmm?
She handle all your outside contacts?
Most efficiently. Except, of course, for matters that I must handle personally.
What kind of matters?
I'm in trouble, Mr. Regan, and I beg your assistance.
Well, it's all paid for.
Correct. But there's a personal bonus in this for you.
Why?
Because, sir, I want you to save my life.
You look healthy to me.
I am healthy, let me assure you. But my life has been threatened.
Well, that'd come under police business, wouldn't it?
Normally. Didn't Miss Carmen explain that this was a delicate matter?
Yeah, she did. Why didn't you call the police?
I'm hardly in a position to ask the police for assistance, Mr. Regan. It is a delicate matter.
Outside it says you're a mind reader, all right? What am I thinking now?
That I'm a charlatan, a faker, and that I'm trying to hide something from you.
That gets you the cigar.
It's been a very lucrative arrangement for the most part and very satisfactory. Except, of course, for the annoyance of having my life threatened.
Who's the guy?
It would be of no consequence if it were a man. It's a lady, Mr. Regan. A very beautiful and lovely creature. And she'd like nothing better than to see my carcass go out with the tide.
Why does she want to kill you?
A matter of confidence. Suffice it to say that she is thoroughly capable of doing just that.
How do you know?
One, she is erratic, ill-tempered, ruthless. Two, she called me this morning and told me what she intended to do.
She giving you a chance to reach for your gun?
To reach for you, Mr. Regan.
What do you want me to do?
I feel the entire matter could be settled amicably if you were to call on her. Inform her that you are my personal bodyguard and that you are here to protect my life.
You think she'd go for that?
I'm positive.
How long you been blackmailing her?
What?
Well, your racket might last 6 months or a year, but not long enough to pay for a place like this. The answer's blackmail, isn't it?
Okay. I should have told you.
How do you do it?
I can slip them into a trance. They spell a family secret or two. I push a buck that way.
That's nice.
If you want the minds read, I read them. $25 a parade.
And shakedown.
The guy's got to eat.
You put the squeeze on her.
She's an actress. She was in on a deal at the studios.
She wouldn't shake?
At first, I just told her I had to have a larger fee. Then they come out with it, cold turkey.
And she said she'd blow your head off.
Yeah, she's the kind. I went wrong on this one. I'm in a spot.
Who is she?
Grace Nichols, movie actress. Ever heard of her?
Redhead.
Makes you want to go home and kick your wife downstairs if you got one.
That good?
Better. But she means this business about pumping me. And I won't look good dead.
All right, where's she live?
Over in the Palisades. Here's her address. You going over there now?
Yeah.
Be careful.
She isn't gunning for me.
That isn't what I mean. There's a skinny boy there. He's nasty, no callers. Name of Tim Rogers.
I'll remember that.
I hope you can talk her out of it. I've been sweating. I don't want to shake her down. I just want to get a little sleep at night.
I left him sitting there, scratching his bald head under his turban. He looked about as happy as a guy who just ate a Vaseline sandwich. Well, Grace's place was too big for a marble game and too small for football. I think I remember reading something about how she got it from her third husband. There was a big wire fence all around it and a sign every 15 or 20 feet telling you not to trespass. So I parked my car outside the driveway and walked up to the front door. The guy in a chauffeur's uniform was standing there. He looked like a razor blade with arms. He gave me the fisheye and blew smoke in my face and kind of nudged me with his shoulder.
Move on, Pilgrim. No handouts here.
I came to see Grace Nichols.
Yeah.
I got business with her.
Yeah.
So tell her I'm here.
Blow.
You always like this, or did you miss lunch today?
I don't know who you are, Pilgrim, but I don't like you. Beat it.
I know you. There's something about a guy in a lineup.
Yeah?
He memorizes real easy.
Copper.
Investigator.
Private or city, I don't care. You all smell the same.
This isn't hunting season. You always carry a .38?
Does it show?
Maybe you got a broken rib.
A real funny guy. I met all kinds of funny guys. Drift.
I said I wanted to see her.
And I said she wasn't in.
All right, I'll tell you once more. I got business with it.
So do a couple of hundred other guys.
Watchdog?
Now you're getting smart.
You weren't.
What kind of a crack is that?
I want to see her, I'm going to see her.
Trick I learned a long time ago. Shoot a guy in the knee and he'll never walk straight again.
You ever done it?
Oh, yeah. That's how I learned.
That's when I learned, baby.
Well, I might have to get a new chauffeur. You looking for a job?
I already got one, lady.
Timmy's going to be awfully upset when he finds out what happened to him. When someone works for me, they have to be perfect. Want his job?
They wouldn't let me in.
I'll let you in. You, do that kind of thing often?
When I have to.
I suppose you have a name.
It's Regan. I'm a private investigator.
All right, Mr. Regan, you've earned a perfectly good chauffeur and bodyguard, and you're in my house. What have we got to talk about?
A guy named Carew.
The Prince? Must we talk about him?
He thinks you're dangerous stuff.
So do a lot of people. Tell me, Mr. Regan, what do you think?
About what?
Me.
Right now, or when I'm a couple of feet away?
Right now.
Look, remember, I just got here.
I know. You must have a first name. What is it?
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, we'll get along. It's in the cards.
Pretty fast deal.
I like it this way. Fast.
Might be a bum deck.
Never mind. Deal.
That's the bell. How much time between rounds?
Well, you know me better. Hello? Yes? Yes, right here. You know a man named Lion, Jeff?
Uh-huh.
He seems to be roaring.
Give it to me. Yeah.
Regan, is that you?
Well, now, how do you figure it?
Now, don't be smart. Who's the dame who answered the phone?
Our client's friend.
Sounds like she's a friend of yours now, or maybe you have been doing some road work.
Did you have something to say, or is this the day you turned scoutmaster? I'm busy.
Well, you can stop being busy, lover. It's all off.
Don't tell me you're passing up a fee.
I'm passing up nothing. Prince Carroll called me 10 minutes ago and told me to forget the whole thing, and that's what I'm telling you.
How'd you know I was here?
The prince told me, so it's all over. Finished. Forget it.
I've already started something.
I don't care what you started. Now, just remember, you finish it on your own time and expense sheet.
You look worried, Jeff. Anything I can do?
I'm called off.
You mean you're out of a job? I got one. Remember, you put my bodyguard out of commission. You owe me something.
Oh, Tim, boy, he'll come around.
I don't want Tim anymore. I want you. I'll get you a drink. We can talk about it.
Carew told me that Tim was a pretty good boy.
You can fill his shoes. Come here and get your drink. Now, tell me about 9 o'clock tonight.
It'll get dark.
I got a new dress. I think you'll like it.
I probably would.
There's a place above Malibu. We could have dinner and listen to some music. I want to be with you, Jeff.
That deal's fast again.
I don't care. I don't care. I just decided something, Jeff. I'm going to like being with you. I'm going to like it a lot.
Well, she didn't want me to go. But I was thinking about the prince and the way everything looked. I told her I'd see her that night. I was just climbing into my car when Tim Rogers, her ex-number 1 boy, stepped out from the gate. I waited for him to walk over.
Pretty good with your women, Regan.
You look lonely, Timmy. Somebody stole your popsicle?
Bum joke, Regan. I've been waiting to talk to you. You were so quiet in the house I didn't want to make any noise.
Any better here?
You came out champ this afternoon. But you won't even make the prelims next time.
You got something to say?
Stay away from her.
You're shaking. You need a drink.
Stay away from her, Regan. I've been with her too long. Known her too long to take the bounce from a 2-bit gum heel.
Goodbye.
I'm not finished yet.
That's your version. Now get your foot off that running board, punk, or I'll take it with me. I left him standing in the middle of the driveway. If I'd have waited another minute, he'd have been crying. I stopped off and had some barbecued ribs at a drive-in out on Sunset. It was just getting dark when I got to my place. I had company. was Velma Carmen, Prince Caru's right-hand man. She was sitting on the edge of my sofa. Her back was as stiff as a filing cabinet, and there was a little ring of white around her lip. She looked like she'd just been measured for a coffin. There was a .25 automatic sitting in her lap.
I've been waiting for you, Mr. Regan. I asked the janitor to let me in.
Yeah?
He was very nice about it. I told him I was associated with one of your clients. Yes, I told him I was associated with one of your clients. Did you know that Prince Caru was my husband?
Since when?
Oh, a long time now, a long time. Not many people know that.
Is that what you came here to tell me?
No. I came to tell you that you don't have to worry anymore. None of us have to worry anymore.
You mean you're calling me off the case?
That's it. That's exactly it. I'm calling you off the case.
Yeah. Well, I've already been called off. My office phoned me when I was over at her house.
First Nichols?
Yeah.
And it was about her?
Yeah.
Well, then, we don't have to worry anymore, do we?
No.
She's very pretty, isn't she? I've seen her many times. I think she's quite pretty. I could hardly blame the prince. I could hardly blame him at all.
What are you getting at?
Because all the others were pretty, too.
Where'd you get that gun?
This? I bought it for $30.
Let me see it, huh?
Oh, yes. I brought it here so I could show it to you. I paid $30 for it. I paid $30. I'd imagine the air would be cleaner in there, don't you?
What are you talking about?
I mean, it's really very humane, they tell me. It's just like sitting down and never waking up. I read all about it. You just walk in and sit down, and if you don't try to hold your breath, you go to sleep, don't you? You've met murderers before, Mr. Regan. Do I make a good murderer? Do I make a good murderer?
Stop it, will you? You trying to tell me you killed him?
Oh, Mr. Regan, that's why I came here. I shot him. I walked up behind him and I put the gun close to his back and pulled the trigger. They don't make such a great deal of noise, do they? I left him sitting there in his house by the sea, and he looks very much alive. Only he isn't alive at all. Now answer me. Now answer me. Do I make a good murderer? Do I make a...
You are listening to the story of The House by the Sea, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. They're still available for qualified nurses. Yes, the Army Nurse Corps Reserve still has commissions available. If you are a graduate registered nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps section of the Regular Officers Reserve. To find out if you do qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to the story of The House by the Sea and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, after she got through, she settled down to a slow, even kind of a giggle that started somewhere around her shoelaces and didn't get past her knees. It was one of those things that gives you a feeling like somebody's standing in back of you with a red-hot iron ready to press your pants before you get them off. But she wasn't going to do any more talking, so I went downstairs and brought back a doctor friend of mine named Sammy Wing. He brought his little black bag with him and gave her a shot of something. She wilted like last night's orchid and went to sleep on my couch. Sammy began talking.
Some playmate. Wish I'd have been here for the party. I had 4 appendectomies and 1 broken leg today. So dull life.
How is she?
You know her better than me.
No, she's going to be all right.
But she'll wake up in 5 or 6 hours. I want some water.
And then what?
She might ask you what happened, or it might start all over again, whatever it was. By the way, what was it?
Well, I found her here when I got home.
I should find something like this.
She said she killed an ex-client of mine.
Oh, maybe I'm lucky at that. What does all the past tense mean?
I was called off the case.
Oh, nice. It's all clean, no clients to protect. Is there a court someplace?
I don't know, Sammy.
Call the police, they'll find out. And then you and me can go out and get a drink.
She said she used this gun. Smell it, Sammy. It hasn't been fired. Safety catch is still on.
She's pretty and she's nice, and I'll bet she looks like $1 million in a bathing suit.
But if I'd have met it within the last 3 hours, I'd have run for help. Call the police.
Is that professional?
This is acute hysteria. The kind that pops off guns and pops off people and does a lot of things they can't remember later on. Call the police.
What about the gun?
What about guns? Call the coroner while you're at it. Tell him to go out there with some DOA forms. He'll use them.
Will you stay here with her till I get back?
Corpse hunt?
Just an idea.
Hitler had an idea.
The odds were against him.
You got about as much chance as a 3-legged horse in the Kentucky Derby. She's bit somebody, and she's told you about it.
I want to make sure.
What do they do when a private eye walks in and messes up a nice, clean murder?
Sammy, will you stay?
Had any bourbon around here?
Yeah.
Okay, take your time. Maybe both of us will get our pictures in the paper.
I left him with a kind of a soft smile on his face, like he had some inside information on Tuesday's winner at Del Mar. Well, it was 9:30 by the time I got there, and it was dark enough to give a ghost the creeps. It was different, too. Maybe it was the fog. I used that ring of keys I'd taken from her purse. It smelled dry and funny inside. It was real quiet, like somebody was waiting for the world to fall apart. I clicked on my flashlight, and I walked down the long hall to his office. He was there, just like she said. There were 3 holes in the front of his shirt, but it wasn't the laundry's fault. I spotted the .38 on the floor by his hand. I broke it, and 3 cartridges came out. It was the right gun for the job. He was pretty messed up. While I was standing there trying to figure Velma Carmen's story, the lights came on. A fat man wearing a sheriff's star was standing by the switch. There was a taller man in a brown overcoat next to him. They both looked like they'd just finished dinner.
Scavenger hunt, son? You don't talk, Charlie.
Ain't much for him to say, is there, Cap?
Guess not. Well, son?
Oh, it looks like you're going to be calling me names.
What do you like best? Killer, murderer, or slayer? The papers use slayer a lot.
I don't like any of them.
Kind of breezy for a hot boy, ain't you? Mind giving me a name?
It's Regan. I'm a private detective.
It's Regan. He's a private detective, Cap.
Yeah. Got a card or something with you, son?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right. But international. Lion still there?
Yeah.
Who's that?
An old bum I used to know. Regan, why do you go around killing people? The Lion will be mad.
Look, this is a fix.
Now, why do you want to say a thing like that?
Somebody tip you?
Phone call a little while ago.
Huh?
Funny kind of a voice, a whisper. Said we'd find a stiff up here, but didn't say we'd find you.
You're extra.
Look, I just came here to see what it was all about.
Same thing we did. Only we come up with a suspect and a corpse. No cop could ask for anything better. Charlie, better call a coroner. Ocean Town's just a small place, Regan. Only me and Charlie around. We borrow from the county when we get something like this.
I can find you a real answer in an hour.
You let me and Charlie worry about that. You look good enough for the time being. All right, son. Let's go.
I had as much chance as an elephant in a tea room, and if those two locked me up and booked me. So I leaned back into his gun and spun around and knocked his wrist down. He pulled the trigger. By that time, I flicked the light switch and was out the door. I didn't run for my car. I cut across the driveway and doubled back up the hill. I could hear him yelling and shooting out in the dark. I hailed a cab about 5 blocks away, and he took me to the place above Malibu. I found her in a booth with a piano player. She was wearing one of those black strapless things, and it was worrying a couple of bald-headed guys sitting at the bar.
You're late, Jeff. We said 9 o'clock. I had 3 drinks all alone. You want me to get mad, or are you going to catch up?
How long you been here?
You sound like you're out of the mood. I thought we were going to look at the stars together.
How long you been here?
It's 9 o'clock. What's the matter?
I've been working tonight.
Well, it's after hours now. Tell me how you like my new dress.
It's the right color with the wrong cut for a funeral.
I haven't read the obituaries today.
It'll be in tomorrow's paper, only it'll make the front page.
Have a drink? Let's wait for tomorrow.
Your friend was killed tonight.
What friend?
Carew.
He was no friend of mine. I told you that.
So did he.
Car smash up, or did he fall off his house?
38.
We didn't talk about him this afternoon. Let's not start now.
Look, 2 cops in Ocean Town are kind of crowding me. They think I'm going to take a good picture.
Is that why you're late?
It's a murder rap, lady.
We should have had dinner together.
They'll be knocking down your door in the morning.
Why, darling?
Because you threatened to kill him, because he hired me to call you off.
Oh, wait a moment, Jeff. You've been having fun up to now. Who told you that?
Why do you think he sent me over today to sell magazines?
I never found out you were called off. I suppose he hired you to scare me.
Jeff, we're old friends now. I can tell you a family secret.
I know about him blackmailing you. And that puts you ahead of me for the cops. Did you do it?
I don't know, did you? What he told you don't sound right.
What does sound right?
I went to him one day and put him in a trance, only I used scotch. Found out what he was doing and how I was doing it, so I turned the tables. It was good, clean fun, but expensive for him.
You've been draining him?
I thought that's why you came today. That's why I had Tinny around.
Well, some of this is beginning to make change. If he was your meal ticket, then you got an alibi.
I don't feel like stars anymore, Jeff. Let's go to my place and talk.
On the way over, she didn't have much to say, and I couldn't think of anything. I was all too mixed up. If she'd really been shaking him down, then she figured out. And the girl back in my apartment figured in. Only she had the wrong gun. And then there was a little business that I'd have to explain with the Oceantown cops. Well, when we turned in the driveway, I stopped figuring. Tim Rogers, the man with the guns, was there, standing on the porch.
Oh, gorgeous. I've been waiting to see you. You're home late.
I thought I fired you.
Still tramping with this tramp, huh? I thought you'd be sick of him by now.
For once, I'm glad to see you, Tim boy.
That sounds cozy, but I don't want to see you.
I know where your 38 is.
You're wrong. It's her 38. And it's got her prints on it.
Jeff, he's making it look bad for me.
Ask him what he's doing here, will you?
Just in for a showdown, Angel. You're tagged for his murder. They'll want you. I fixed it good. I can fix it so you can get away.
How?
A friend of mine shoving off at Pedro. 4 o'clock. To go all over the world.
Jeff, if all of this is straight, I'm in a spot.
Relax. This guy never did anything right.
Tell me how I'm wrong.
All right, that tip to the Oceantown cops was wrong. Trying to pile up a scare on me was wrong. Killing Cairo was wrong, and this clinches it.
Yeah? Well, that's where you're twisted, Pilgrim. I got a warrant out for you right now. Plugging a murder suspect is something they'll thank me for.
You said her prints were on that gun?
They'll find that out in the morning. And how was I to know? Just happened to hear on the radio they were looking for you tonight. I see you, I plug you. Everybody will be sorry, but it'll be manslaughter and suspended. I worked it once in Toledo. What do you say, Angel? Do I plug him and meet you somewhere in 2 weeks?
Let me have a smoke. Let me think it over.
Sure. Sure, go ahead. Angel.
Well, the gun's empty now.
I carried this for 3 years. I never used it. He deserved to die, didn't he? Didn't he, Regan, didn't he?
I don't know, lady. You knew him better. Well, it unwound like red thread in the Levi factory. Grace Nichols had been putting the shake on the prints. He got tired of it and called me in and told me his phony story so he'd have a good self-defense angle when he finally got around to shooting her some afternoon. He had Tim planted there to keep me from really seeing her. Oh, it was a nice idea, only I bounced Tim and got inside. And then Tim made a phone call and the lion jerked me before I had a chance to compare notes with her. I guess Tim went kind of crazy seeing how well we got along together, and he figured Grace would do anything if she was wanted for murder. So he killed the prince and made her the patsy with those fingerprints. She'd handled the gun before, see. But then I had my caller, Velma Carmen, the prince's wife. She went kind of crazy, too, when she walked in and found him dead. It took 3 doctors a couple of weeks to tell her what really happened. When I told it all to the lion, he was mad at first, but then he saw Grace Nichols' picture in the paper. He asked just one question. What was I doing at Grace's place all afternoon? I didn't even bother to answer him.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Wilms Herbert as Anthony J. Lyon. It's CBS same time next week for hard-boiled action and mystery with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Written by E. Jack Newman, produced by Sterling Tracy. The role of Grace Nichols was played by Betty Lou Gerson, David Ellis was Tim Rogers, Lorene Tuttle was Velma Carmen, and Marvin Miller was Prince Carew. 29,000 nurses are needed to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. 4,000 of them, if they wish, may choose active duty. All nurses who receive reserve commissions will benefit from the opportunity for specialized training offered to them by the Army. The educational opportunities offered the nurse by the Army Medical Department will be of great advantage to her in her work. Don't wait. If you're a registered graduate nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, drop a card now for complete information to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Original music for this program is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard every Saturday at 9:30 over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett and Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. 2 hold-up men have been operating in your city. You've got descriptions of the men and of the car they're driving. Your job, get them. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. No wonder. More and more smokers are learning this fact for themselves. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality. A published fact, proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, April 14th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 10:46 a.m. when we got to the corner of Calhoun Street and Van Nuys Boulevard. The Universal Hobby Shop.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
We'd like to see Stanley McGowan, please.
Oh, Stan's not in right now. Anything I can do for you?
When do you expect him?
It shouldn't be long. He just went out for some coffee. Hey, sure there's nothing I can do?
No, sir. You know where he went?
No, I don't. Probably up the street. He'll be right back, though, if you want to wait.
All right, fine.
Pull up a couple of those stools. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
You mind if I go ahead with this? I can get it finished this afternoon.
No, sir. You go right ahead.
Pretty jazzy deals. You seen them?
What's that?
Hey, these boat models. Put them in a bottle.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a new one. Just came in. Take a look. Jean Lafitte's boat. Pretty, isn't it?
How's that?
Lafitte, the pirate, you know.
Oh, yeah. How do you get it inside the bottle?
Well, the bottle comes in 2 halves. It's cut apart lengthwise. You put the boat in and glue the halves together. There are a couple all finished over there. Look pretty good.
Mm-hmm. How long has McGowan been working here?
Oh, I guess it's been about 6 months, around in there. You guys friends of his?
We want to talk to him.
Oh. That's funny about him.
What's that?
Well, he doesn't seem to have any close friends. Hey, you know, like you could call up and ask a favor from. Never hear him talk about anybody like that.
You ever seen any of his associates?
Oh, a couple of times when we get ready to close up, there might be a guy waiting for Stan. Most of the time he plays a single, though. I've tried a couple of times to get him out, you know, stop at the bar on the way home, have a couple of drinks. Stan won't have any part of it, plays it single.
If you have a car, would you know?
Not that I've ever seen. Hey, say, will you hand me that gold paint over there?
Yeah, sure. This one?
No, the small one there. Yeah, that's right.
Here you are.
Ah, thanks. And a little bit of this goes a long way. Touch up the tops of the mast here, and she'll be ready to rig.
And these friends of his that pick him up, what kind of car do they drive?
Say, what are all these questions for? Who are you guys?
Police officers. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Cops. Well, what do you want with Stan? He done something?
We just want to talk to him.
I sure hope it isn't anything serious. I'd sure hate to lose Stan.
Is that so?
He's one of the best riggers we've ever had. There's a couple of his models over there. Take a look. That one in the case, $150, old Ironsides. One of the best boats we've turned out. Stan did that. Sure got a steady hand. And that's what it takes when it comes to rigging, steady hand.
Want to go out now, Rudy?
Yeah, in a minute. A couple of fellas here want to talk to you.
You want to see me?
Your name's Stanley McGowan?
Yeah, that's right. What's this about?
They're cops, Stan.
Yeah?
This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
I'd like to talk to you, McGowan. You sure? What about?
Might be better if we went out to the car, huh?
Make no difference to me.
You fellas stay here. I'll go out for some coffee.
All right, thank you.
Bring you back some?
No.
No, thanks.
I won't be long.
Okay. What are you going to talk to me about?
You seen Jim Boland lately?
No, I haven't. When did you see him last? A couple months ago. Why?
Where'd you see him?
He come in here, wanted to know if I could help him out, give him a job, place to sleep.
Did you?
No, I told him he could bunk at my place for a couple of days till he got squared away. Nothing I could do about a job.
Why'd he come to you?
I don't know. I met him at Q. Didn't have much to do with him. Hey, why'd you guys come to me? What makes you think I might be running with him?
We didn't say you were.
Same thing. You figure I know where he is?
Well, the record says you knew him. We're just checking it out.
I got nothing to do with him. I'm reporting every month. You check with my parole officer. He'll tell you. I've been carrying the bucket since the day I got out of the joint. I'm going to keep on carrying it.
We got no beef with you, McGowan. We just want to get in touch with Boland.
I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do to help you out. Anything comes up, I'll give you a call.
You mention any of his friends in town when you saw him?
Some guy named Phil, that's all.
You know who he is?
No, I never met him. Jim said they were cooking up some kind of deal.
You know what it was?
No. Look, I'd like to feed you guys, but there's nothing I can tell you. As far as I'm concerned, I want to stay away from Jim and the crowd he runs with. I want no part of him. I did my time. Couple more months, I'll finish up with the parole. I don't want to fall again.
Nothing you can tell us about this guy, Phil, huh?
Not a thing.
You know where he met Boland?
Seems like Jim mentioned it. I think it was some bar down on West 7th. Just a guess, though. I couldn't back it.
You know if Phil drove a car?
Yeah.
You know what kind?
It seems like it was a Lincoln, late model sedan.
How about the color?
It was dark. I saw it once when he came by to pick up Jim. It was nighttime. I couldn't tell too good. It was just a dark color.
Where was this?
My place. I told you Jim bumped with me a couple of days right after he got in town.
He just said you offered to let him stay with you, is that right?
Well, same thing. Anyway, he was only there a couple of days.
Say where he was going?
No, I didn't see him. Him and me had a beef about how he wasn't looking for a job. He used to sit around all day reading magazines. We finally had a fight about it. I told him to get out. Wanted no part of him. I came home that night. He was gone. I haven't seen him since. I don't much want to either.
Mm-hmm.
Look, what are you after him for? What's he done?
Just want to talk to him.
He got a piece of these market jobs around town?
Why do you ask that?
It sounds like Jim, the way he works. I just figured maybe it was him. You checked the board. He violating parole?
They tell us he hasn't shown up for 3 weeks.
That's too bad. Kind of figured maybe he'd swing it this time.
How do you mean?
A couple of times up in the joint, we'd get to talking. He said he finally learned it. Figured out there was no way to beat it. Said if he got his parole, he's going to stick by it. Get a job, carry a bucket. Too bad.
Mm-hmm.
All that talk, I really believed he meant it.
So did the parole board. 6 weeks before, on March 3rd, the manager of a large supermarket had arrived at work. When he opened the front door, he found that a customer had followed him into the building. When the manager told the person that the store wasn't open for business yet, the man had drawn a gun and demanded that the safe be opened. The manager complied, and after taking $1,400 from the safe, the thief had fled. The manager was able to give us a good description of the hold-up man and an accurate description of his car. He was unable to give us the license number, and he could tell us little about the man who remained in the car. Immediate broadcasts were gotten out on the thieves, but they'd apparently made good their escape. On March 12th, the procedure was repeated. Again, we were able to get good descriptions, but we were unable to come up with the suspects. In the following 4 weeks, the thieves hit 5 more times. Each time, the M.O. employed was the same. The descriptions from each of the victims tallied with those that we'd already gotten. The description of the car was the same. This information was turned over to the staff's office for compilation. Their findings listed 14 possible suspects. The packages of these men were pulled from R&I, and the mugshots were shown to the victims. In each instance, one picture was picked as bearing a close resemblance to the hold-up man. The prime suspect was identified as James Boland, WMA, 32 years old. He'd been arrested twice for violation of Section 211 of the Penal Code. He'd been convicted once and had been sentenced to San Quentin for a period of from 5 years to life. However, at the prison, his behavior and attitude had been good, and he'd been paroled on February 19th, 10 days before the first hold-up. We found that Boland had violated his parole and was wanted by the state adult authority. A check of his friends netted us no new information. His relatives could tell us nothing about his whereabouts. The legwork continued. Informants were questioned, but were of no material aid. Saturday, April 18th, 8:46 p.m. I'd just gotten home from work, and I was unlocking my front door. Hello? Oh, yeah, Dave. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I just got it. When was that? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I'll have to call my partner. Right. Yeah, where? Yeah, I know where that is. Well, let's see. It's 8:47 now. It'll take us about, 15, 20 minutes. Right. Okay, we'll see you there. Yeah, sure. Bye. Hello, Fay? Yeah. Frank there yet? What if I could talk to him? Yeah. Oh, Frank? I just got a call from Dave Hyde. Yeah. Said he wants to see us right away. Bar down on 6th Street. Yeah. No, all the way downstairs. Okay. What? Yeah. No, he says he knows where we can find Jim Bowen. 10 minutes later, Frank picked me up and we drove down to the cocktail lounge that our informant, David Hyde, had picked as a meeting place. When we walked in, we couldn't see Hyde, but the bartender told us that he was in one of the rear booths. We walked back.
Hi, fellas. Come on.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
What do you got for us?
Lousy bum. All the things I did for him. All the things, and now he's got a chance to settle up, and he says he's having no part of me.
You talking about Boland?
Boland. What a bum. All I done for him, this is the way he pays me back. Boy, you just wait till I spread the word around. There won't be anybody in town who'll have anything to do with him. He's through in this town. THREW.
All right, Dave. Settle down and give us the word. Where'd you see him?
Bar over on 7th. Big man now. Got a roll. Looks like a branch of Fort Knox. A lot of money. But he's too good for his old friends. Too good. Say, how about you fellas popping for a drink for a pal, huh? How about it?
You've had enough. Come on. Why don't you see Boland?
Just this morning, big man. Got good clothes, driving a big car. Asked him for a loan. Just to get squared away, pick up a couple of tabs I got around town. Just see me over the hump.
You know what kind of car he's driving?
Yeah, big Lincoln. Brand new. Got red leather trim on the seats. Even got one of those seats that goes up and down, but he can't give a pal a helping hand. I spread this word around town. He's really finished. Ain't a guy in town to touch him with a 12-foot pole or a real darb,
You know where he's living?
Nah, I don't know. Probably got a house out in Bel Air. Looks like he can afford it.
Who's he running with, you know?
Yeah, some guy who's lighting cigarettes.
What's that?
Some guy who lights his cigarettes all the time. Supposed to be some gun from the East. Thinks he's such a big shot. The cheap kind, you know. Kind of guy who has his suits cut so you can see they're carrying a gun. You know, cheap.
You know this fellow's name?
A couple of times I heard old Jim call him Phil. Phil something, I don't know. A real dark. Hey, fellas, how about a drink? I'm feeling real bad.
You still on H?
Oh, no, I swear to you. I haven't had a pop in a long time. I'm trying to get off the stuff. Figured if I could get drunk enough, it wouldn't be so bad. Rough go. Come on, how about a drink?
You've had enough, Dave. You know if Boland's carrying a gun?
I don't know for sure. I didn't see one. This Darb Phil's got one. Got his coat cut so you can see it. Real cheap, small time.
You want to show us where you saw Boland?
I'll take you there if I have to carry you on my back. What a way to treat a friend. All the times I've helped him when he's had a bad yen, and now he treats me this way. Real dog in a manger. I got a lot of friends in this town, a lot of buddies. Word gets out about Jim, he's finished. Miserable bum. I think about the rough times him and me had together, I get ill. I-L.
All right, let's go.
If you nail him, you going back to the joint?
Suppose so.
How long are they going to give him?
It's up to the court.
Ain't a court in the world that'll give that bum what he's got coming. All I want to see is that he gets it good. I want to see him turn the key and lose it after what he did to me. I'll tell you something else, too.
Yeah, what's that?
He's building a big habit.
Is he hooked?
He ain't chipping with it. I bet money he's shooting 4 or 5 caps a day. That much easy.
You sure about that?
Well, why'd I lie to you? What reason I got to lie?
All right, Hyde, let's go.
Hey, how about a quick belt before we go, huh? I'm feeling rocky. Just a quick one.
Let's pick up Boland first, then we'll see what we can do for you.
Yeah, then you'll take care of it, huh?
We'll see.
Yeah, just so he gets his every pound. Can't wait to see the look on his face when he finds out the whistle's been blown. Oh, I can't wait.
Neither can we. Let's go. 9:13 p.m. Hyde, Frank, and I drove over to West 7th Street. Our informant pointed out the bar where he'd seen the suspect, Boland. He told us that when he'd seen him last, Boland said that he'd be in the bar that night. We called the office and told them where we were, and then we went into the place. Boland wasn't there, but the bartender said that he was expected. The three of us sat down in a booth at the rear of the place, and we ordered black coffee for our informant. We waited. 9:30 p.m. 10:30.
There he is, coming in now.
When you saw him this morning, did he say this guy Phil was going to be here?
No, not to me.
How about it, Joe?
You better get out of here, Dave. Use the side door, will you?
Yeah.
We'll check with you later. All right, let's go. You're Jim Boland?
What do you want?
Police officers, you're under arrest. All right, Boland, come on, get up.
Come on your feet. Stand still. He's clean, Joe.
What's going on? What are you pulling a deal like this for? I didn't cause any trouble.
All right, come on, let's go.
Well, they blew the whistle on me. Somebody did. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to get to him. I swear I'll get to him.
Where's Phil?
Huh?
Phil, where is he?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, Boland, let's go.
Listen, you tell whoever it was blew the whistle, they better start looking for a place to hide, because I'm going to get to him if it's the last thing I do.
You called it.
What?
It might be. 10:14 p.m. We returned the suspect to the city hall and questioned him. He refused to admit any complicity in the holdups. He refused to tell us who Phil was. We talked to him for 5.5 hours, and we got nothing. At 3:30 a.m., he was taken over to the main jail and booked in on suspicion of robbery. We checked out the room that he told us he was living in, but we were unable to come up with anything that would tie him in with the holdups. 3 days passed. On Tuesday, April 21st at 8:30 p.m., a special show-up was arranged. Out of the 7 victims who were present, 5 said that the suspect looked very much like the man who had held them up, but none of them would give us a positive identification. Jim Boland was returned to the felony cell block, and we talked to the victims. All of them commented on the fact the suspect we had in custody was the same height, the same weight, and had the same general coloring and appearance as the person who'd robbed them. However, none of them would swear positively that he was the person. At 10:15 p.m., Frank and I went up to the felony section and had Boland brought from his cell to the interview room. His previous sullen attitude had changed considerably.
How'd I make out? You get any identification?
5 of them say you look like the man.
Well, they're wrong. They gotta be. I didn't have nothing to do with those holdups. If they say I'm the guy, then they're making a bad mistake.
They seem pretty sure about what they say.
They can't be. Look, they saw me behind the screen. You bring them up here. Let me talk to them face to face. I'll talk to them. I got nothing to hide. Just let me talk to them.
You know we can't do that.
I always thought it was up to you to prove a guy was innocent as well as trying to make him for a job.
That's right, it is.
Then why don't you give me a break? I got no part in these heists.
You look good for him.
Probably a lot of other guys who do, too, but that don't mean they are. Come on, what do I have to do to make you believe?
Why don't you come off of this, Boland? We got you going in. Why not play it smart and cop out?
How can I cop out when I got no part in it?
I'll lay it out for you. The M.O. used in the jobs matches yours.
Big deal. A lot of guys work the way I used to.
Physical description we got matches you.
So I haven't got 2 heads. A lot of guys look like me.
The beef in the bar. If you didn't have anything to worry about, why'd you start the fight?
How'd I know who you guys were? Maybe you was out to pull a heist.
Oh, that's a nice try, Boland, but it won't work. You knew we were officers. Now, why don't you save us a lot of time and tell us the truth here?
You guys wouldn't know it if it bit you.
There's one way to find out.
Yeah?
Try it.
You got a cigarette?
Here.
You want one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll level with you. I figured you was after me for PV. I didn't have any idea about the 211 rat.
Is that why you started the fight?
I swear it is.
How about the money you got? Where'd it come from?
I got real lucky with a pair of dice.
You expect us to believe that?
That's the way things are.
Where'd you hit the luck?
I can't tell you that. It wouldn't help any.
Give you an alibi.
Either you believe it or you don't. That's the way it was. I'm trying to level with you.
We got a rumble that you're back on H now. How about that?
Where'd you hear that?
We heard it.
Yeah. Well, you tell them I haven't had a pop in over 4 years. Not since I went up the joint.
How about this Lincoln you're driving?
Don't belong to me.
Who owns it?
Phil.
Now we're back to that. You're going to tell us who Phil is?
Listen, the guy's a friend of mine. I don't want to bring nothing down on him.
He's leaving you way out in the cold?
I suppose so. Well, if I tell you, you won't know, will he?
Not from us.
Okay. Name's Phil Spence.
How well do you know him?
Say hello to, buy him a drink, that's all.
That's not the way we get it.
I don't care how you get it. That's the way it is.
This Spence, you ever fallen?
I hear yes.
What for?
211, ADW.
Where?
Here, California.
You on parole?
No, he got out clean. At least that's the way I hear it.
You know where we can pick him up?
I told you I buy him a beer once in a while. I don't pay his rent.
You're the one who said you wanted to go down the middle.
All right, but I'm giving it to you that way. I don't know where his pad is.
Does he work for a living?
I don't know. I never heard him talk about a job.
You know who he runs with?
Some guy named Ed.
You ever see him?
No.
Know where he can be reached?
Sometimes they hang around the bar where you picked me up. How about it, fellas? You're going to buy the story?
Yeah, we'll check it out.
I swear it. I got no part in it. Sure, you got me cold for PV. I know I got to go back for that, but I want nothing to do with the rest.
We'll check it out.
You do that. You'll find out what I said's the truth.
You willing to identify these 2 other guys for us?
How do you mean?
Check over some mugs?
Sure. Just as long as you believe me.
We'll see.
You won't regret it. A lot of things I can tell you if you get me out of this. A lot of information I can give you.
Let's go.
You're going to give me a break, huh?
We'll check it.
Say, either one of you guys got some extra butts? I'm out.
Yeah. Here, take these.
Thanks.
Anything else you need?
Not unless you can fix it for me to shave.
We'll talk to the jailer about it.
Beard's starting to itch. I'd like to get it off.
We'll see what we can do.
You going to start checking my story now?
That's right.
You go to work on it. You'll find out.
Yeah, sure.
I'll pay you back. Just believe me, I'll pay you back.
Figure he's telling the truth?
It's hard to say.
The identifications weren't too sure.
Everything else is. There's only one way.
Yeah.
Check him out.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfield, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. The only cigarette ever to give you
1. Proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that.
2. The only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and 1/2, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
Tuesday, April 21st. After we left the suspect, Jim Boland, at the main jail, Frank and I went back to the city hall and checked the name Phil Spence through R&I. There were 9 packages carrying records for men with that name. 2 of them had served terms for robbery in the state penitentiary at Folsom, California. We got off communications to George Brereton up at Sacramento and to Washington, requesting information on known criminals having that name. 12:30 a.m. We went back to the jail and had Boland brought from his cell. We showed him the mug shots from the packages we had, but he failed to give us an identification. We talked to him about Phil Spence. He gave us all of the information he could about the missing suspect's habits. At this point, we were still not sure that Boland wasn't implicated in the holdups, but we had to check out what facts we had. The one point which seemed to verify Boland's story was that the victims were unable to give a positive identification of him. 1:30 a.m., we went back to the office and checked out for the night. The following morning, Wednesday, April 22nd, we started to recheck Boland's story of his movements during the times of the holdups. Upon re-questioning some of the witnesses, we found that they weren't as sure as they had been of the facts. That afternoon, we got a kickback from Sacramento. It contained 3 more possibles. CII said that they were sending us mugshots of the men by airmail special delivery. Boland gave us a list of places Spence was known to frequent. We came up with the name of a girl that the suspect was known to see from time to time. We got the address and we went out to talk to her.
Doesn't look like she's home.
We better check with the manager, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You Jane Schofield?
Why?
We'd like to see her.
Who are you?
Police officers.
Come in. I'm her. What do you want?
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
No, I figured that. Move some of those clothes and sit down. Can I get you anything? Drink, maybe?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
How long has it been since you've seen Phil Spence?
Who says I know him?
We understand you know him pretty well.
I've gone out with him a couple of times. That's the end of it.
When'd you see him last?
A couple of days ago. Monday night, I think.
You know where he is now?
No.
You know where he lives?
Some hotel over on Flower.
You know the name of the place?
No.
You ever been there?
No.
You know what Spence does for a living?
I don't know. Got some kind of a job, I guess.
He ever talked to you about what he does?
I told you I'd just been out with him a couple of times. I didn't ask for his birth certificate. I just said I'd go out with him. What are all these questions about anyway? What do you want to talk to Phil about?
It's a personal matter.
What kind of trouble is he in now?
You been in trouble before?
I don't know. Just with you cops around, must be something he's done.
Spence got any close friends that you know of?
Couple.
You know who they are?
One of them is a guy named Jim something.
How about the rest?
Fellow he calls Ed.
What do you know about Ed?
Not much. Is he in it too?
Ma'am?
He mixed up in this personal thing you want to talk to Phil about?
Maybe.
Never did like him. I always figured he'd end up getting Phil in trouble.
Phil see quite a bit of him?
Yeah. I think he's maybe in some kind of business deal with Ed.
Did he ever say what the deal was?
Not to me.
One night a couple of weeks ago, he got real looped, and him and Phil were talking about it.
What'd they say?
I don't know. Phil told me to go powder my nose. I don't know what they said.
And how do you know what they talked about?
Because when I came back, I heard Phil say something about how the deal was going to work out all right. Then he saw me, and they shut up.
Phil owns a car, doesn't he?
Yeah, a new Lincoln.
You ever let anybody else drive it?
Ooh, once in a while, he lets Jim take it. Not often. Phil's kind of touchy about the car. Say, how'd you fellas know about me?
Routine. Checking Phil out. Your name came up.
Oh, that's all, huh?
Ma'am?
I'm not mixed up in it.
You can answer that better than we can.
Yeah. Well, I want you to know that I'm not. I got nothing to do with Phil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it. I just met the guy. I had a couple of dates with him. He's hung up in something. I got nothing to do with it. You got to believe that.
When are you going to see Spence again?
Well, you believe what I tell you, don't you? If he's in trouble, I got no part of it.
When are you going to see him again, lady?
You mean whenever I got a date?
Yes, ma'am.
Tomorrow night. He's going to pick me up when I get through work.
Where's that?
Bar down in Olympic. I'm a hostess there.
Is that where you met him?
Yeah, he came in one night. We got to talk. He asked me for a date. I don't want you to get the wrong idea about it, though.
Ma'am?
Well, about how I met him. I don't usually go out with the customers. Boss doesn't like it. It's just that Phil seemed kind of different. That's the reason I went out with him. I want you to get that straight.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute.
Expecting anybody?
No, I don't know who it is. Want me to open it?
Yeah, go ahead.
What took you so long, honey?
I got company, Phil.
I know.
I don't think so.
Hi.
You Phil Spence?
Yeah, who are you?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
What about?
Might be better if we went downtown.
Or who?
What?
I don't want to go downtown.
You don't have much to say about it, mister.
It's a pinch.
If it makes you happy, mark it down that way. You want to shake him, Frank?
Yeah. Get away from me, cop.
What are you doing, breaking up my place? Get out of here! Get out of here and take that speed bomb with you!
All right, come on, get out. Come on, get out.
You get out of here.
Lousy deal.
Get out of here, my deal coming in and breaking up a girl's apartment. Who's going to pay for all this? Who's going to make it right? Just look at the place.
Oh, shut up. Why don't you tell me they were here? Why didn't you say something?
All right, Spence, let's go.
I'm coming. All I want to know is who told you. Who yapped? That lousy Eddie, I'll bet. He's the one. Never should have picked him up.
He with you on the jobs?
He told you, didn't he?
How about Jim Boland? He in with you, too?
Oh, that guy hasn't got enough sense to come in out of the rain. He's worse than Ed. Should have known not to get mixed up with that dumb Eddie. I should know. It always happens.
Yeah?
You're on with a jerk, you're going to get tripped up. Lousy Eddie shooting off his mouth. Hadn't been for him, you'd never got us. I'm going to tell him off.
What's the difference? You told them everything they wanted to know. You're all going to jail.
Why don't you shut up? You're always wrong, sister.
Not this time. Let's go.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 13th, trial was held in Department 92 of Superior Court of the State of California in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Well, this is brief, but I think very much to the point. Chesterfield is the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's what I want in my cigarette, and that's what you should look for in yours. Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you. Try 'em.
Philip Donald Spence and Edwin Floyd Morse were tried and convicted on 4 counts of robbery in the first degree and were sentenced as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years. Jim Nathan Boland was released to the state adult authority for action on violation of his parole. He was returned to San Quentin for the balance of his original term. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Herb Vigran, Vic Perrin, Michael Ann Barrett. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke with Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for longer filtering.
and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today.
Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers. First major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to auto detail. An organized gang of thieves has been stripping cars in your city. None of the stolen merchandise has turned up. There's no lead to the identity of the members of the gang. Your job? Stop them. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. No wonder. More and more smokers are learning this fact for themselves. Chesterfield. Low in nicotine, highest in quality. A published fact, proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, June 13th. It was overcast in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of auto theft detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Nelson. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 7:52 a.m. when I got to room 45. Auto theft.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Bob. You seen Frank?
No, he hasn't come in yet.
Oh, all right.
Hey, Joe?
Yeah.
When Art gets in, tell him I'm down R&I, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Bob, how's it going? Oh, pretty good. What happened to you?
Well, if it's all the same to you, I'd rather not talk about it.
That bad, huh? You seen Joe? Yeah, he's over his locker.
Thanks. Morning, Joe.
What happened to you?
Joe, I'd rather not discuss it.
Well, what happened? All those scratches on your face there?
Please, Joe.
Well, I was just asking.
Look pretty bad, huh? Joe?
Yeah.
I look pretty bad, huh?
I thought you didn't want to talk about it, you said.
If word about this gets out, Joe, I ain't ever going to live it down.
Is that right?
I've been had, Joe. Cop for 12 years, I've been had.
Well, what's it all about?
You won't spread this around, will you?
Look, I just asked you what happened. Now, if you don't want to tell me, I'll go along with you. You don't have to say a word. Come on, let's get on the reports. What do you say? You better get in touch with Bowles when he comes in and try to check some of these out, huh?
You're not even interested, huh?
All right. You want to tell me about it?
Well, if you really want to hear.
Go ahead.
Well, last night I took Faye down to the store. She had a little shopping to do. Small stuff, you know. Pot holders, dish towels, things like that.
Yeah.
I got a parking place right in front of the store, so I waited in the car for it.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there listening to the radio when this fellow walked up to the car. He leaned in the window and asked me if I had a minute. I told him I did and asked him what he wanted.
Did you know the guy?
Never saw him before. Didn't know him from Adam.
Uh-huh.
Right off, I could see the guy had trouble.
How do you mean?
Well, he looked real bad, like he'd been on a drunk for at least a week. His clothes were all rumpled up, looked like he slept in them for a week. You know how I mean.
Yeah. What did this guy want to talk to you about?
When I saw him, I figured he was going to put the bite on me, so I braced myself, you know.
You braced yourself, huh?
Yeah, you know. I'm a real sucker for hard luck stories.
Faye's always telling me I should learn to stay away from those guys. She was just saying the other night that
What does this guy want?
Huh?
Well, what do you want, this fellow that talked to you?
Oh, well, he gave me the story about how he'd been on a bat and how he was broke and he needed some money to clean up before he went home.
Mm-hmm.
But he makes it real plain that he does not want a handout. Nothing for nothing.
What do you suppose he meant by that?
That's when he showed me the package.
The package, huh?
Yeah.
What package?
Well, the one he was carrying. Didn't I tell you that?
No, you didn't yet.
Well, you see, before I couldn't see it. Then he showed it to me. It's all done up in tissue paper, ribbons and all. Paper was kind of dirty, like he'd been carrying it for a long time. Ribbon was a little tired, but it was there.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked me if I wanted to buy it.
That was this package.
Well, what was in it? He asked me if I wanted to buy that.
Well, what was in it?
He took off the paper and he opened the thing up. And, Joe, inside is a brand new razor. Brand new. Worth $26 in town.
What kind of a razor?
Well, he said he'd let me have it for $20.
No, what kind of a razor? Just a razor, the kind you shave with?
Yeah, an electric razor.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me it was electric.
Didn't I say that, Joe?
No, and you said he let you have it for $20 just because he needed the money.
Yeah. Well, happened that I didn't have $20, you know me, so I told him I couldn't make a deal.
Then he left, huh?
No, Joe. Now, look, you wanted to hear it. Will you let me finish?
Well, it takes you a little time. I have to keep drawing you out here.
I'm sorry, Joe. I want you to get all the facts.
Mm-hmm.
We're officers together. We talked back and forth for a little bit. Guy finally said that I looked like I had an honest face.
That's a new approach, isn't it?
Joe.
Well.
So finally he says you'll let me have the razor for $15. So I bought it.
That's how you cut your face up, huh, with that new electric razor?
Well, in a way. You see, I had to buy some blades last night, and since I had the new electric, I didn't do it.
Well, you don't need blades for an electric.
No, it wasn't for the electric, Joe. It was for the old one that I had at
home.
home.
But you had the electric now.
Sure, and once I had that in my hand, I didn't want any blades. Only thing I had in the house was a blade that was a week old. So I got up this morning, plugged in my brand new electric. What do you figure happened?
Well, I'm going to take a real blind guess. It didn't run.
How'd you know?
Well, the same thing happened to Murphy over in robbery last month. There was a big laugh around here. You were one of the guys who laughed the most, don't you remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember now. It's miserable.
Murphy know about this yet?
No. I ain't about to tell him either.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, Smith?
Yeah, Skipper.
See you guys?
Right.
Close the door. Sit down.
Thank you.
What happened to you, Smith?
It's a long story, Skipper.
Well, you can tell me later. Why don't you guys take a look at this?
What do you got there?
Just saw Chief Brown on the way in. He's getting pressure from the corner pocket. They want this thing cleared up.
What is it, Joe?
Last few weeks, car stripping's taken a big jump. Not the usual line of stuff. Not just happening in certain neighborhoods. We got reports there from the Valley, Hollywood, Wilshire, all of the divisions. Same thing's happening all over town. Talk to the boys in the sheriff's office. They're getting it. Same in Burbank, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica. Doesn't seem to be any place they aren't getting to.
How about the stolen stuff, Skipper? Any of it show up yet?
Not that we can find. All the usual outlets have been checked. None of the loot can be bought.
Any special kind of things being taken?
Let him see those reports, Jim.
Yeah, here.
Thanks.
Take a look. We're not messing with kids in this thing. The way the victims tell it, this gang can break into a locked car and lift the radio in under 10 minutes. They can pull all four wheels off a car in under 6 minutes. Insurance companies are screaming. They already got into the police commission. Chief Brown told me this morning he didn't care how we did it, but he wanted it stopped.
Well, where do we start?
Well, up to now, the investigation's been handled pretty much by the divisions. From here in, it's in your laps. Use as many men as you need. Just bring the thieves in. You're not working on anything now, are you?
No, we're not. We're just winding up that Gibson thing. Couple of reports to finish. We should be through by noon.
We'll turn the reports over to somebody else. I want you to start on this thing right away.
Okay.
Right, Skipper.
Anything you need, let me know.
Right. Check you later.
Right. Smith?
Yes, sir?
How'd you get all those cuts in your face there? Shaving?
Well, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, same thing used to happen to me. Why don't you get yourself an electric razor?
8:11 a.m. Frank and I asked one of the other men in the detail to take care of the reports on the case that we'd finished, and then we started through the statements we'd gotten from Captain Nelson. From them, we got a pretty good idea of how the car stripping ring was operating. There seemed to be a definite plan for the thefts. Most of the stolen articles were in the luxury class. Only radios were taken from Cadillacs and Lincolns. Heaters were stolen from Chryslers. Special hubcaps from foreign cars were listed among the stolen property. We had the stats office make a run on the M.O. that we could piece together, but their information led us nowhere. In none of the reports was there a possible description of the thief. The times the cars were stripped and the locations where the burglaries occurred made it apparent that it was a large-scale operation. For the next 2 days, we talked to the victims. We double-checked the time of the thefts and the movement of the victims immediately preceding the car stripping. We asked about people loitering in the vicinity of the parked cars. None of the drivers who'd been victimized could supply us with any more evidence than they'd given us in their statements. Friday, June 16th, we checked the list of recent parolees from state penitentiaries and work farms looking for ex-convicts who'd been involved in cases of car stripping. The list of names we came up with were checked out, but they led us nowhere. In the meantime, the pressure from the citizens groups in the city had gotten worse. At the end of the first week we'd been working on the case, the value of stolen articles reached about $500 a day. Additional officers were assigned to patrol the streets. Radio cars doubled the number of field interrogations they normally made, and although several arrests were made, the possibles picked up apparently had no part in the activities of the organized ring. On Saturday, June 24th, we got a call from an ex-convict. He asked us to come out to his garage and talk to him.
Come on back here, fellas. We can talk while I finish up.
All right. Hey, quite a place you got here, Al.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. Got just about all I can handle now. And the way business is going, I'm going to have to take on some more help.
How many men you got working for you now, Al?
2 full-time. Saturdays, I got a couple of kids who come in and help out with the wash jobs. Now, we can talk right here. Pull up a couple of those chairs.
All right.
There's a rag there on that bench if you want to wipe them off. They get a little dirty standing around.
That's okay, Al. What do you want to see us about?
Well, first off, I want to tell you guys that I appreciate the way you treated me when I fell. I'll never forget it. Real nice.
Don't worry about it, Al.
I read in the papers where you're getting a lot of heat on the stripping going around.
Yeah, that's right.
I just wondered how you're doing on it.
That's going pretty slow. Why, do you know anything?
I got a couple of rumbles. You know, it's hard not to hear them. I heard that none of the stuff's been shoved, that right?
We haven't seen any of it.
Well, the way I get it, you aren't about to. Hey, hand me that socket wrench, will you?
This one?
Yeah,
Here you go.
Thanks. Fella came in here a couple days ago. I knew him from before. He said he wanted to do business. He asked me if I was interested in some good buys of used radios. I told him I might be if they were good. He said these were the best, all GMs. Then he gave me the price. When I heard that, I knew something was off.
What was he asking?
I told him he could deliver 6 Cadillac radios for $28.50 apiece. I asked him where he got them.
What did he say to that?
He told me it wasn't any of my business. Said where he got them didn't make the radios play any different.
What makes you figure he might be in on the operation we're after?
Well, I told him that if he could make deliveries at that price, I'd want a lot more than a half a dozen.
Yeah?
Well, he said he couldn't supply them. Said that he only could spring 6. I asked him if he was working alone. He told me no. I figured I ought to give you guys a call. Might be something for you.
You said you know him, huh?
Yeah, from before. Say, you guys like a cold beer?
No, Al.
No, thanks, sir.
Well, you mind if I have one? It's kind of hot.
No, go ahead.
Thanks. Day gets a little hot, you really notice it. Are you sure you guys don't want a beer?
No. No, thanks.
Never could drink it out of a can. Seems to taste better in a glass. Oh, that's good.
Who was the guy, Al?
Oh, it's Manny Phillips.
You know where you get in touch with him?
I haven't got the slightest idea.
Has he ever fallen?
Yeah, I did time at Q for GTA.
Is he on parole?
I don't know. I think he made it free like I told you. I didn't know him real well. Used to hang around. Never had much to do with him. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen him since I got out. I've been steering clear of the old bunch. Makes it easier if you don't pal around with them. Business I got's going good. Got no trouble with anybody, and I want it to go on like this. I never could figure it. Guy falls out, and right away he's back with the same old bunch. How you going to stay clean like that? Well, you aren't. Somewhere along the line, you got to make a mistake. You're right back where you started.
How long did it take you to learn it?
I spent 4.5 years at the joint.
Well, some of them fall harder than that, Al.
Yeah?
And they still don't learn. 11:20 a.m. We called the office, and Sergeants Bob Beck and Officer Art Molnar came out to the garage to stake out in case the suspect came back. Frank and I took Al Woodson down to the city hall and checked the name Manny Phillips through R&I. From the packages that were pulled, we were able to get an identification of the man who'd offered the radios for sale. We checked the information contained in the package. Phillips, whose real name was Manuel Richard Phillips, had an arrest record dating back 12 years. He'd spent 1 year at Fred C. Nellis School for Boys for car stripping when he was 14. From the time of his release, he'd been arrested on the average of once every 2 weeks. His age at the time of his latest release from San Quentin was given as 26. Out of that time, he'd spent a total of 8 years in state penal institutions. From his package, we obtained his last recorded address. We checked it out and found that he'd moved 3 months before. We checked his forwarding address. He'd moved. Finally, after talking to the managers of 9 more rooming houses and apartments, we came up with his present residence. The landlady told us that Phillips apparently didn't work for a living, but that he always had the money for his rent. She described him as quiet and said that he usually spent a good part of the daylight hours in his room. She was unable to tell us anything about his friends or any business associates that he might have. A stakeout was set up on the place immediately. Because of the apparent size of the operation, it was decided not to attempt to take the suspect into custody at this time. Instead, Captain Nelson agreed that we should keep Phillips under surveillance and try to learn more about the car stripping gang. For the next week, we followed Phillips. 24 hours a day, there were at least 2 officers tracing his movements. On 3 nights, he was watched while he stripped cars of expensive accessories. The area was put under a Code 5, so there would be no possibility of the suspect learning he was under observation. 11 days after the surveillance began, Phillips was observed to visit a large marine supply yard down in San Pedro. The next night, July 6th, he drove up to the place at 11:37 p.m. He parked his car in front of the gate and dropped the large bundle over the fence. Immediately afterwards, he returned to his room. The following morning at 8:06 a.m., we met with Sergeant Beck in Captain Nelson's office.
What did you find out about the ownership of the supply yard?
The license was issued to a Harry Swenson.
Well, how about him?
We checked the name through the I Bureau. Nothing on him there.
Beck, you and Molnar come up with anything?
Not that you haven't got. We staked out on the yard every night since we found it. Hasn't been a night that passes some car hasn't made a delivery of some kind. Got the license numbers of all the cars. They've all been checked out. We know who they are and where to find them.
We've had a tail on Swenson every minute. Must have eyes in the back of his head. As soon as one of our men falls in step, he knows that the way he's acted, there isn't a thing we can prove.
What's the DA's office say about it?
We had lunch with Alexander yesterday, Skipper. Laid out the evidence we had.
Yeah?
Told us if we tried to take Swenson to court with what we've got, they'd laugh us out of town.
Well, where does that put you?
Well, really not much further than we were. We know who's behind the ring. We know where they're operating from. The big thing now is to find the plant. Unless we can produce the stolen merchandise in Swenson's possession, we haven't got a case that'll stand up.
And no leaks about the plant?
No, not that we can find. Everybody that's been near Swenson's place has been tailed. Twice a week there's a truck that leaves the yard. There's no way of telling what's in it, and the times we followed it, we've lost it.
Well, how about a bug? Can you get one into Swenson's office?
Well, I don't know how. There's no way of getting them out of there long enough to install one. The night watchman's always on the premises. We're not even sure he's not in on it, too.
So where do you stand on it?
Well, your guess is as good as ours. Alexander says that without finding the plant, we can't take him to court. Now, we've used every trick in the book to get him to lead us to it, and not one of them's worked.
They haven't left the thing open. They're playing it real smart.
How many men involved in the operation?
Well, we're not sure, but as near as we can figure, 12. That's not counting Swenson or that night watchman.
You've been in the business long enough to know it, then.
What's that?
When there's that many men working, there's got to be a leak someplace.
Yeah.
Find it.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfields, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you
1. Proof of low nicotine, highest quality. A matter of record.
2. The only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and one half, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are again a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
For the next week, a close surveillance was kept on Swenson's marine supply yard, but there were no breaks. Kickbacks from George Bratton up at CII in Sacramento and from Washington, D.C. didn't disclose any previous criminal record on the suspect. During that week, on Tuesday, July 11th, and on Thursday, July 13th, a large stake truck left the yard. The back of the truck was covered with a piece of canvas so that we were unable to see what was in it, but we were reasonably sure that it contained stolen merchandise. In scouting the neighborhood for a possible place to establish a more workable stakeout, we came across an empty office on the second floor of the building directly across the street from Swenson's place of business. Officers equipped with binoculars maintained a constant watch on the activities in the yard. After another week, the events that had been seen were reported to Assistant District Attorney Adolph Alexander, and he stated that if we could get pictures of the operation, we might be able to make a case that would stand up in court. Monday, July 17th, we met with Sergeant Putoff in the crime lab.
How far are you going to have to be from the subject, Joe?
Well, second floor across the street.
Well, are you going to be able to take all the pictures during the day?
Don't think so, Putoff. Most of the activity runs after 9 at night.
Mm-hmm. Well, best bet probably infrared, then. We can shoot it with a 4x5.
How about light?
Oh, is there any sort of telephone pole, traffic signal in front of the place?
Yeah, I think so. The way I remember it, there's a phone pole about 10 feet to the left of the gate as you face the yard.
Well, we can tie the lights to that, then.
Well, any chance they could be spotted?
Outside. We can put them up pretty high. The regular lamp reflectors with heavy infrared filters. If you know they're there and look up, you're going to be able to spot them.
Any chance of taking movies?
Yeah, we can swing that. Life magazine's been experimenting with a new fast film. Results I've seen with it are pretty amazing. All you need is one street lamp. We can use that.
Well, if you have to string the infrared lights, wouldn't it be better to shoot the movies on that kind of film?
Well, you'd get something. Film's pretty slow, though. It'd be better to use the stuff Life's come up with.
All right, how long will it take you to set it up?
Well, how careful do we have to be?
Well, these guys are pretty cagey. If they get any idea at all, we're dead.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can have a couple of men go out in the morning. We can outfit them as linemen. They should be able to have the rig ready for you by tomorrow night.
We can start shooting pictures then, huh?
Should be able to, yeah.
All right. Is Jay Allen around, do you know?
Well, I think he's over the court this morning, Joe.
Well, then maybe you can help us out there, too.
What's that?
We're trying to figure some way to tail a truck. We've been trying to find the plant these guys are using for a couple of weeks now, and we just can't get near them. We wondered if Jay might have any ideas on that.
Probably use fluorescent paint. That ought to do it.
What's the gimmick there?
They tie a can of transparent fluorescent lacquer to the back of the truck, punch a hole in the can, and all you got to do is follow the drops.
You punch a hole in the can, won't all the stuff run out?
Well, there's a couple of brands on the market. They've got enough viscosity so the paint will stay in the can. Regulate the frequency of the drops by the size of the hole.
Can you see it?
Not without ultraviolet lamp. Tie one of those to the hood of your car and you got it made.
You got the equipment here to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, would you have Jay give us a call when he comes in?
Right. He'll know more about it than I do. Be able to give you all the dope.
Okay.
I'll get right on the other for you.
Thanks a lot.
Say, how long you been after this bunch?
Well, let's see. We got the assignment on June 13th. That'd make it over a month now.
A lot of time.
Well, maybe now we'll have something to show for it. The following morning, Tuesday, July 18th, 2 men from the crime lab installed 3 1,000-watt lamps in front of the marine supply yard. The reflectors were equipped with heavy infrared filters. Test exposures from our position across the street indicated that whatever pictures we got would be recognizable enough as to be admitted in a court of law. The new fast film was obtained, and 16-millimeter cameras were installed in the window of the office across the street from Swenson's. We talked with Sergeant Jay Allen in the crime lab, and he went to work on the use of the fluorescent paint. After experimenting, he was able to come up with the correct size hole in the bottom of the can so that a single drop of the lacquer would fall from the can every 10 seconds. A portable ultraviolet lamp was obtained and was ready for immediate installation on our car. For the next 3 nights, we sat in our vantage point and we photographed all activity on the suspect's premises. The pictures were shown to Adolph Alexander in the district attorney's office, and he told us that they would play a large part in the prosecution of the case. However, he said that if we could come up with the hiding place of the stolen loot, a conviction would be assured. Tuesday morning, July 25th, 3:15 a.m., Frank and I took the can of fluorescent paint and climbed the fence into the supply yard. Back here.
Right. Lousy thing, I didn't see.
All right, you better hold it a minute.
Who's there?
The watchman.
Yeah. Better get back in the shadows.
Yeah, come on, easy.
Come on out, I know you're there. Come on now. Who is it?
That was close.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. The truck should be back in the shed.
Right.
Right, here we are.
There's a can. You want to hang it? I'll keep an eye out.
All right. Get this thing on here. I thought up this handle. This didn't work at all. Wait a minute.
You bend it down?
Yeah. Give me your handkerchief.
Wait a minute.
There's a sharp edge on this wire.
Okay, here it is.
All right, wait a minute. We still clear there?
Yeah.
How about that watchman?
He went back.
Right there we are.
How about the stopper in the can?
I got it in place. The first bump should knock it out.
I hope so.
It's got to work. All right, now let's try to get out of here. See if you can kick something else, will you, on the way? Tuesday night at 11:35 p.m., the stake truck pulled out of Swenson's Marine Supply Yard. Sergeant Bob Beck, Frank, and I were parked in an alley just down the street. We let the truck get a good 20-minute start on us, and then the ultraviolet lamp was attached to the hood of our car. Frank started the motor, and we pulled out into the street.
Spot anything yet?
No.
Maybe the lacquer dried up around the cork, held it in place.
That's a happy thought.
Well, here's the corner. Which way?
Well, wait a minute. Let's take a chance straight ahead, huh?
All right.
Well, there's nothing up this way. You better double back.
Okay.
Let's try it to the left this time.
How about it? See anything yet?
Go on up a little more, will you? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Look at that stuff. It's really lit up.
For the next 35 minutes, we followed the trail left by the fluorescent paint. From time to time, we'd lose the trail, but we'd always pick it up again. The truck followed the main highway from San Pedro to Santa Monica and then turned left up Santa Monica Canyon. The trail wound around toward Sunset Boulevard and turned to the left. About 1 mile from the beach, the drops indicated that the truck had left the main street and turned onto a private dirt road. Half a mile along the road, the trail stopped in front of a large wooden building in the middle of a field. We turned off the car lights and went up to the place. The blinds on the windows were drawn, but there were lights on in a front room. Sergeant Beck covered the rear of the building, and Frank and I went up to the front door. All right. Yeah.
What are you doing in here?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
For what?
Is there anybody else here in the building?
What are you arresting me for?
You want to check with Beck, Frank?
Right. What are you doing coming in here like this? You got no right coming around kicking doors
All right,
in.
save it, Swenson.
How do you know my name?
We've been watching you for a month now. Is there anybody else in this house?
No.
Do you own this place?
I'm not answering anything till I see a lawyer.
All right, you call it any way you want. We can find out.
Got no right in here. I'm going to see my lawyer.
You do that, Swenson.
What's the charge?
Burglary.
You think you can make it stick?
We're going to try, mister.
Where's your evidence? You got to have evidence.
We got it.
There's nobody else here, Joe. Back room's full of stuff. Radios, heaters, tires, all here.
So what? You can't put me away for that.
All right, let's go, Swenson.
Now, just a minute. Will you listen to me a minute?
All right.
You got this all wrong. You're making a big mistake here. I intend to pay for every bit of that stuff back there. I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah, that's right. You will.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 12th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we'd like to express our appreciation to all of you who've made our Dragnet theme song so popular. Whenever or wherever you hear it, we hope it'll remind you to try our Chesterfields. To join the thousands who are changing to Chesterfields and getting the one cigarette that's low in nicotine, highest in quality. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
All other members of the gang were taken into custody and were brought to trial. Harry Ralph Swenson, along with his accomplices, was tried and convicted of 14 counts of burglary in the second degree and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 15 years.
If you had only one book, the Bible, do you know that you would have within its covers the finest examples of literature, both in prose and poetry? You'd have stories which have never been equaled, adventure, love, history, and prophecy. So read your Bible every day during National Bible Week.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today.
Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.